Looking big, King.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love? Yeah. I don't know. You're not there. I give you my love, but you don't care. So what is right and what is wrong? Give me a sign. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. I don't know. What can I do? What else can I say? It's up to you. I know where I want, just me and you. I can't go on. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love? What is love? What is love? Oh, baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. I want no other lover. This is our life, our time. We are together, need you forever. Is it love? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love?
EWBSX, the cyberbully. We are so back.
music dies, something in your eyes calls to mind a silver screen and all its sad goodbye. I'm never gonna dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm, though it's easy to pretend. I know you're not a fool. You should have known better than to cheat a friend and waste the chance that I'd been given. So I'm never gonna dance again the way I danced with you. like I won't get you out of my mind. I feel love for the first time, and I know that it's true. I can tell by the look in your eyes. Give me tonight, 'cause my feeling is just so right. Lately, I just feel like I feel love for the first time. Lately, hear me tonight. Can't you see you're my delight? Lately, I just feel like I won't get you out of my mind. Lately, hear me tonight, 'cause my feeling is just so right.
What's up, Cyber Chuds? It's your boy, the Cyber Bully. You're listening to EWBSX, of course. And listen, if you're just using the app, take a minute to go check out the website. I paid good crystals for that thing. And let me tell you, there might be more than meets the eye. Hint, hint. The lore section, anyone? All right, it's EWBSX.
I can't do this, Sam. I know. It's all wrong. By rights, we shouldn't even be here. But we are. It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo. The ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end. Because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing. This shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it'll shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you. That meant something. Even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going. Because they were holding on to something. What are we holding on to, Sam? There's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo. And it's worth fighting for.
Attention, folks.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the ASTROLABE. We've got an early LABE today because we've got a short LABE today. Tonight, oh look, my phone is still playing. I wonder why it keeps doing that. Tonight is Thursday night, which means we have a Network Armageddon Electric Boogaloo. It is coming tonight, but I wanted to make sure I got a LABE in here because it's Paul SUDA day. We got to get some Paul SUDA content for your guys' eyes and eye and ear holes. And I had a few minutes. I want to catch up on some stuff. Hopefully you guys caught the shows, the couple of shows that I've done here over the last couple of days. Last night, Mr. Jason Miranchuk and I were on with Jake Rattlesnake over on Rattlesnake TV. Had a good conversation about the PayPal Mafia. The night before that, I was over on Simiagog, and Oliver and I also had a good conversation about the counter elites and many other related things. Very good conversations both. And there is another that is yet to drop. Yesterday afternoon, midday, I recorded with Mr. Benjamin Boyce, and that conversation should drop here in the near future as well. So I've been flat out doing all this stuff, and then after I finished with Simiagog the other night, before I did Benjamin Boyce and Rattlesnake TV last night, I wanted to make sure that I listened to the Twitter Spaces that was the other night with Tom Luongo and Dexter White and Pete Quinones, and Stormy dropped in there for a little bit, and there was a guy named Halsey and then some others, and it was like 3.5 hours long, and I wanted to make sure that I listened to it, so I started it at like 2 o'clock in the morning after going for 3 hours of Simiagog, and I learned the hard way that Twitter Spaces, which I've never been a big fan of Twitter Spaces, they are what they are, but I learned the hard way that Twitter Spaces is you can only listen to a recording of it on the phone on just normal 1x speed. I'm starting it at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I have to listen to this. I want to make sure I have this stuff in my brain. I want to hear these takes. But I guess I just got to sit here for 3.5 hours. And after about 3 hours of it, I was like, all right, I'm just going to sit down on the computer and play a little Black Ops and listen to the rest of it. And I learned then that on the desktop browser, you can go up to 2x with it. So I wasted a couple hours of my life for no reason. But got about 4 hours of sleep night before last, and did the 2 shows yesterday. And so I haven't been able to do a LABE, and there's been so many things that have happened. All the things are happening, and yet nothing's happening. Isn't that strange? All the things happen at once, and also nothing happens at all. So there's some updates on the Israel-Iran stuff that I wanted to get to you guys here. And I've got about an hour or so, and I've got to run my little sister over to work, and then I've got to pick her up before we do the NABE tonight. You guys watch the LABE now. You can watch the NABE tonight with Jason and I. Tonight the subject will be transhumanism. We got into it a little bit last night on the Jake Rattlesnake interview. We talked about it there, and we'll be elaborating more tonight. So make sure you guys don't miss that. It will be streaming, same as this. It'll be streaming on Kick and my YouTube channel and on X. And reminder for those of you who are watching on YouTube, there's still a few. Let's see how many we got over there right now. We've got 28 people still watching on YouTube. Please do, if you are on YouTube, please do go to kick.com/Kingpilled. Come on over here. Here's where the chat is popping. Everyone's jamming. We got all the Patriots who showed up, and it's a better platform, and we're migrating all the primary streaming world over to that. So please do come join us on Kingpilled. We've still got some subscriber goals and some follower goals to get to, so if you are watching on Kick, then please do follow the channel, and if you'd like to do a little bit more, then you can subscribe. $5 a month, you can become a subscriber. I'm almost to the first subscriber goal, and welcome to, let me see, make sure I get the name right here. Barndon M, not Brandon, Barndon M, who subscribed. A new Patriot has joined the ranks. Thank you, my friend. And, of course, as always, you see the streamer salary up top. We have a goal, trying to get to 3,000 by the end of the month. We've got 11 days to go. We've done well so far. We're at 1328.54 thus far. So if you would like to contribute to my salary, I'm doing this full-time now, and I depend entirely upon you guys to sponsor me. Contrary to many of the comments and tweets and stuff that I've received from people recently, I am not on Peter Thiel's payroll. I would like to be. Please, Mr. Thiel, direct me toward this massive fund of Thiel bucks that I have accumulated. I could use them. I could use them to pay rent. I could use them to buy food for my family. I could use them for I got to get a new vehicle. There's a whole bunch of things that I could use all those teal bucks for. So please direct me to this massive fund that apparently everybody else knows about, but I don't. And I guess until I find that, maybe you guys can be my teal bucks providers. Use the Streamlabs link, tips.kingpilled.com, and you can support the work that I'm doing here. I'm doing the work for you guys. I put myself out. I sacrifice myself, lay my life on the line to get all the narrative and the news and to provide the filter for you guys so you don't have to wade through the cesspool that can be Twitter sometimes. And as usual, it seems that everybody commenting on the current goings on is getting it wrong. Not everybody. There are some people who are doing it right, but way too many panicans. Way too many panicans. You must trust the plan. So today I'm going to give you guys, I've got a bunch of stuff to read. I've got some articles. I got some nice long posts. I got some tweet threads, a bunch of stuff. Hopefully I'll get through all of it, and maybe it'll kind of, I don't know, realign your perspective. If you're panicking, if you're concerned, if you're like, oh no, here we go again. You know, Americans are kind of like, we have like what is it, like beaten wife syndrome, where we've been subjected to so much propaganda, all the Middle East wars and everything else. So it seems like everything's just kicking off again. But if you've allowed your head to be buried too deeply into the fog of war, you are probably missing all the different signs and indicators that this is not business as usual. We're in a new era. The United States has a new foreign policy, and for various different reasons, it may look like the old policy, but it is very obviously a new one. So we're going to go through a bunch of that stuff here today. Once again, please do hit the Streamlabs link. I'm going to grift. I'm a digital busker. I'm going to busk. I'm going to remind you that I depend upon you guys. There will be probably something like, I don't know, between all the platforms, there'll be something like 1,500 to 2,000 people probably who see this this episode. So if every single one of you was to contribute $1 on the Streamlabs link, if every single one of you were to do that, you would solve many, many problems for me. So please do. Please express your trusting. I will shamelessly grift. You will express your trusting through the Streamlabs link. True patriots use the Streamlabs link. What's up, Slutty Milk? He says, I'm going to trust the Planikins are standing back and standing by, Mr. President. Trust the Planikin. Don't be a panikin, be a trust the Planikin. Just before I went live here, I saw a couple of things I want to highlight real quick for you. First of all, in yet another edition of The Libs Always Do Our Propaganda For Us, we have from Gavin Newsom, from Governor Patrick Bateman, says, MAGA, Miller actually governs America. Based on this headline from CBS News, Trump officials lift short-lived pause on ICE arrests at farms, hotels, and restaurants. Now, we may talk about this Gigajew here a little bit more on another episode when I got some more time, but extremely based. Look at our Gigajew, boys. Exceptionally based. And then, here, let me open this into a separate tab. And then the other one was this here, Andrew Torba. Look at these two stories next to each other. Israel's air defense stockpile may run dry within 2 weeks. Israel's air defense systems could be depleted within 2 weeks without U.S. support, media reports suggest. Amid escalating strikes from Iran, officials warned that the cost and complexity of interception may soon outstrip supply and strategic capacity. And then this from today, press secretary shares an important message from President Donald J. Trump based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future. I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. So we have a deadline. Look at this. Look at these two deadlines. Very interesting. What a fascinating connection. Anywho, we'll get to this here in just a little bit, but we must start off with another edition of the SUDAverse. Some more SUDA wave. Trump 47, week 22 of 208. I ain't no fortunate son. I guess we've got a little clue as to what our banger of the day is. So, strap in, Insert the lip pillow. Ensure you are properly caffeinated and nicotinized. Lock in, Patriots. Let's go.
Scanning for Mexicans. Ah. We've got a Mexican!
They gotta go.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue. And when the band plays "Hail to the Chief," ooh, they point the cannon at you. Now, it ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no senator, son. It ain't me.
Whammo.
It ain't me. I ain't no watching it run. No. Some folks are born silver spoon in hand. Laws on to help themselves, dog. But when the tax man comes to the door, now the house look like a rummage sale, yeah. It ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no millionaire, son.
Oh, I love this. Yeah, get him.
It ain't me.
Whammo.
I ain't no fortunate one, no. Some folks inherit star-spangled eyes. Ooh, they send you down to war. And when you ask them how much should we give, ooh, the only answer, yo. It ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no military son. It ain't me.
Kaboom.
It ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one. It ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one. No. It ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one.
No good options at all.
Faggots!
I'm trapping you with my bad behavior, with my selective bad behavior. I'm trapping you. Communists create decision dilemmas intentionally all the time in order to wrong foot the right who doesn't know what to do. When the animals have taken to the streets and they're torching the cop cars and they're hurting cops and they're burning things, the right, and you see this right now, even today, as we speak, people are arguing over the whole thing. What do you do? Do you let them go? I've seen that argument. Hey, let LA burn. It's run by Democrats anyway. Screw it. Let them go.
No.
Do you go the complete opposite way? Hey, forget these pepper ball rounds. Live ammo. Let's put some commies in the ground and start cooking.
Ooh.
No. Let's not. Let's do pepper balls. Riot police. National Guard. Do you bring in the Marines? Do you not? Now, why is there any kind of a stress about the whole thing? If you let them go, then you encourage more of this behavior, and it is ensured that you will get more of this behavior. If you crack down, what if you lock and load, live ammo, put 10, 15 people in the ground? Now you're the tyrant. Now you've sent in the troops on television. How do you think the media would cover one of these street animals who got double tapped center mass and is laying in the middle of the highway bleeding out? How do you think those images would be covered, not just domestically, internationally, by the globalist cabal who hates the American right? You see what I mean? You've created a decision dilemma.
Y'all gotta move. Y'all gotta move. You won't take my fucking people! Don't take my fucking people! Don't kill me! Don't kill me! You're gonna kill me!
Push harder.
I can't! Don't touch me!
10 toes down. Come on.
Watch me, Dick! Get the fuck off me, bitch! Stop! Stop!
Her shoes are untied.
You're gonna run her over!
Carissa, you gotta go. Carissa. Carissa, you gotta run out. No, please don't kill me. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I'm a person. I'm a fucking person. Don't fucking kill me. Don't kill me. Don't kill me.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnicness of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not
okay.
even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay,
actually, the
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know
claims
anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not
at all.
bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
This is
Israel.
high stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government...
Oh, he looks at the camera!
Right now, people are listening.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
Oh my God, man. I was. What time is it? How much time do I have? I have so much I want to say about this. I might even do a full like live react to. I just need a freaking time to sit down and live react to some of these things. This. Oh man, it was. What an absolute career-ending slaughter that interview was for Ted Jews. Apparently, shout out to Mr. Butt Poop for that excellent one. Oh man, and then his tweet today, his goose is cooked, man. Once upon a time he was a presidential hopeful, a presidential favorite. His goose is cooked. I'll just say this one thing here that I've seen a lot of people I really respect who are really going after Tucker on this, and they're like, oh, it's a stupid gotcha question, whatever. No. What he's doing here is he's establishing, like, what level of humanity does Ted Cruz have? Do you know the most remedial facts about this nation? Your entire job, this is like your whole world revolves around these sorts of things. Do you even have like a staffer who'll just be like, okay, real quick, if he's going to talk about these things, here's some basic ideas. Like, here, skim the Wikipedia page real quick. Just kind of make sure you have some of this stuff in here. But he couldn't even say like about 100 million. I could, if he'd asked me what the population of Iran is, I would have said probably, I didn't know exactly, but I'm like, oh, it's like 80 to 100 million, somewhere in there. He couldn't even say that. I saw someone pointed out, they said Trump would have handled this perfectly. He wouldn't have had any idea what the population is, but his response would have been a lot, Tucker. And he would have just said that there's a lot, and you know what? They can't have a nuke or whatever. To not even have the first clue, to just totally freeze up on it, and then beyond that, to not even have if you're a senator who is intimately focused on this particular issue, you should be able to at least have above like a 50 percentile understanding of the nation. So Tucker, by asking them these questions, was like, okay, can you say anything about Iran beyond like state sponsor of terror, radical, Islamic fundamentalists, hate Israel? Like, a lot of those things are true, but like, is that all you know about the country? Is that the extent of your knowledge? Tucker rug pulled him, just made him, revealed him to be the absolute hack that he actually is. And then obviously there's so much more, all the biblical stuff and everything. I don't have time to get into all of that today, so I'll leave it for now. But Good God. I had to get one. I had to get one video here, at least one. I can't remember. I might have picked a second one. I got at least one video of our president. Trust the Trump. He dropped one of the most banger lines of all time.
What gave you the idea to do this?
I've had it for a long time. The first time I had it, but you know, you guys were after me. I said I had to focus. I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. Big difference.
What gave you the idea to do this?
I've had it for a long time.
Reminder.
The only acceptable political theory is complete undying loyalty to Donald Trump.
The context of this was he paid to have this massive flagpole erected, and there in front of the White House, and so he wanted to do it this first term, but he had too much on his plate. Now he is the hunter. Mr. Butt Poop is erect. Are you erect, Patriot? Never been so erect. Lifting my desk up in front of me. Sorry, the camera's getting a little action here. Okay, so I want to do a quick little throwback to remind you guys of some of this context, as everyone's gotten down into this whole fog of war thing and just forsaken their wits altogether. Everyone's just running on their programming now. It's just knee-jerk takes flying off all over the place, absolutely stripped of any context of the first 6 months of this administration. Anything that any of the policy directives or the strategy, the overall geopolitical approach that the administration has both delineated and indicated in all of their different negotiations, Trump's travels, all this stuff. Everyone has just completely thrown that out the window. They're now blinders on, just spouting. It's the like anti-war.exe, anti-Zionist.exe. Now, don't get me wrong. Zionists are retarded. It's good to be anti-Zionist. It's not good to make anti-Zionism your personality and to treat anti-Zionism as the sole singular frame through which to view anything that happens. I'm seeing a lot of people who I really respect, very smart, very intelligent men, very well-read, very historically aware, who now just sound like I don't know, normie automatons just spouting off propaganda one-liners. Everyone's panicking. Way too many panicins. So, I got a couple of things to address that, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the details, some of the specific inside scoops that we've gotten, and then some ideas about what the overarching strategy here might be. If this is not just business as usual Middle East adventurism, which is it's so easy to just say that. It doesn't require a single ounce of thought. Literally, the only qualifier to say, oh, this is just business as usual, wars for Israel, endless wars. Literally, the only qualification for that level of analysis is you have been conscious at some point in the last 20 years. That's literally all that qualifies you to say something like that. So, first of all, you remember, Trump did this big Middle Eastern tour. What was the date on this? May 13th, so a month ago. Literally a month ago. He did this big Middle Eastern tour, conspicuously avoiding one particular location. And he gave this landmark speech that made all the headlines back then. Look at this, 55 million views on this tweet from Eric Doherty. So you can't say, oh, I missed that. I didn't see when he said that. And if you did, if your head's so buried in the ground that you missed when this happened, then you should hold your tongue and not weigh in now, because obviously you've been out of the loop. You're not aware of the current state of play. So I got a couple of quotes from this. Here's the first one.
And it's crucial for the wider world to note.
Wow, this one's really quiet.
Transformation has not come from Western interventionalists.
Okay, this video is coming through really quiet, and I can't get it up any higher. I can hear it fine on my end, but it's really low on here. So if you guys can't hear this right now, you might have to block out other noises or something like that. And I also have the link in it so you can go So you can go listen to it.
Or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions and charting your own destinies in your own way. It's really incredible what you've done. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the intervention.
The so-called nation builders wrecked far more than they built. Huh. Okay.
Nationalists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves. Peace, prosperity, and progress ultimately came not from a radical rejection of your heritage, but rather from embracing your national traditions and embracing that same heritage that you love so dearly.
So, most important lines from that. It's crucial for the wider world to know this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. And he said the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions, and charting your own destinies in your own way. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves. Peace, prosperity, and progress ultimately came not from a radical rejection of your heritage, but rather from embracing your national traditions and embracing that same heritage that you love so dearly. Also recall the welcome that he received here, which was even above and beyond the one he got in his first term when he went and he had like the sword and the orb and all of that. The one image that stuck with me the most was when all of these, I don't remember which country he was in, but all of these military officers, Arab country military officers, who lined up and just walked up to him one by one and saluted him. I feel like that. It's surprising to me more people weren't talking about that, because, like, to have military officers in the Middle East saluting not just an American president, but the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of another country, and they're saluting him. So now, obviously, he goes in here, he does this tour, and as part of that announces something like $1.5 trillion worth of investment in the United States. So he went and he got a bunch of commitments from the Gulf states. Now, do you think that those were no strings attached commitments? Or do you think perhaps they negotiated something in return for themselves? More on that in a little bit. Here's another one. Now, I don't know exactly how loud this is, so I'm going to pull this down just a little bit in case it's a loud one.
When I left office,
It was a loud one. Okay.
When I left office, the only thing still standing between this region and its unbelievable potential was a small group of rogue actors and violent thugs seeking constantly to drag the Middle East backward and into havoc, mayhem, and indeed into war. Unfortunately, instead of confronting these destructive forces, the last U.S. administration chose to enrich them and empower them and give them billions and billions of dollars. The Biden administration, the worst administration in the history of our country, by the way, spurned our most trusted and longstanding Gulf partners, and I can say partners worldwide, one of our great, great partners, no matter who we look to. And we have great partners in the world, but we have none stronger and nobody like the gentleman that's right before me. He's your greatest representative, greatest representative. And if I didn't like him, I'd get out of here so fast. You know that, don't you? He knows me well. I do. I like him a lot. I like him too much. That's why we give so much, you know? Too much. I like you too much. Great guy.
So that was the state of play at the point that that Dawn of Arabia went and toured met with all the Gulf states. It was completely almost over the top how clear the whole unity and their hospitality and their reception, and clearly they have deep respect for him. Which is one thing about the Arabic nations. I'm not like an Arabic nation expert, but I do know that they absolutely respect a strong, powerful man. And there's no question that Donald Trump is a strong, powerful man. The fact that he's like a mob boss is precisely what they would respect about him. And their interests would be, let's make sure that the mob boss is on our side and that he's working for our interests. Now, let's take a quick break. Listen to one of our greatest patriots, Logan Hall. Don't be a panikin. Be a trust the planikin.
Wouldn't be such a problem if it didn't happen so often, but it seems like with every issue, with every new news cycle, there are people that are constantly freaking out and freaking out on Trump or freaking out just having mental breakdowns online. So this happened like with Gaza. There were people that were losing their minds over that. They eventually moved on to tariffs, and now they've moved on to immigration this week with the news of the pauses and then the stopping of the pauses on the raids on farms and hotels, and then additionally with the Israel-Iran conflict. So people just need to chill out, take a breath, and it's important to understand the tactics here. So it's okay to voice your opinion and say, I disagree with this, and calmly state that. But if you are every other week saying, Trump is destroying, everyone's going to die, Trump's destroyed his base, he's destroying the country, you just are not fit to participate in politics, and you need to take a step back and calm down and relax.
So I understand that people are, it's a new coalition, right? So I understand that people are nervous about losing that coalition or losing the heart of it. There's a lot of different people and factions and tensions within it. But it is bizarre to me that there's a certain element of, particularly, at least from what I see, right, our friends online who freak out every week that, you know, it's over, MAGA's over. And so what's your working theory as to why you think this is?
I don't know. I think part of it is the nature of social media and, in some sense, right-wing politics. I know Mystery Grove, our friend, he's at Conundrum Cluster on Substack. I would highly recommend everyone go subscribe there. But one of his posts about this phenomenon was that we need a new political party based on emotionally unstable people who are addicted to social media and who just want to let liberals win whenever setbacks are encountered, real or imaginary. Okay? These people just, I think the right is so used to not winning that now that things are trending in our direction and that we have the moment and the mandate, obviously, famously, that some people just don't know how to keep it cool, and I'm a white guy. I'm ready to kill. In this moment now where we have the energy and we have the momentum, and they don't want to lose it, justifiably, rightfully so, but they are just lashing out and freaking out all the time, and it just does nothing to help the cause.
He is exactly correct. He is exactly correct on this. Every single time that our guys see some new policy thing or some new foreign policy or domestic policy or immigration or whatever the thing is, they see something that they don't like. They see a headline. They see a tweet. They hear some representative of the administration, even the president himself, say something. And they don't like it. Every single time they see that, and they don't like it, and they react by melting down, shitting all over the timeline, and screeching about betrayal and MAGA is dead and America is lost and Trump has betrayed us. And every single time that we do that, I'll say we, I'm not just pointing the finger at you, even though I'm pointing the finger at you. Every time we do that, we demonstrate why we are not fit to rule. No name in the chat. I don't have time to argue with you today. But he says, nah, bro, Americans have been backstabbed for 80 years. That's fine. Americans have been backstabbed for 80 years. But if your premise, your foundational premise is Americans have been backstabbed for 80 years, so anytime I get the hint that maybe I'm going to be backstabbed again, I'm going to chimp the fuck out and lose my mind and spray my emotions at everyone. You are operating from a position of weakness, victimology, and fear. And weak, fearful victims are not fit to rule. If you can't see the time that we're in and the differences between now and times in the past, if you're only capable of drawing out like some tenuous surface connections, maybe sometimes they're even deeper than the surface. Maybe there's pretty deep connections here, and you kind of have to sit and look at it and kind of think about the whole context for a minute. Like, I understand that. It's not like all this stuff is super plainly obvious. It kind of is to me because I'm in this world all the time. But I understand maybe you're not. Maybe your algorithm sucks or you're following the wrong people or whatever. But if you can't see that we are in a different time, there is a new regime in place. It has elements of the old regime, absolutely. And the old regime is trying to penetrate its way in all the time. The psyops are flying wild and fast. But you know what's happening is our guys are doing psyops as well. Our guys are psyoping the enemy. Our guys on the inside. And when our guys on the outside freak the fuck out about psyops directed at the enemy, they're just aligning themselves with the enemy. I'm in a hurry, so got to keep going. Now, normally, I'm not super impressed with Will Chamberlain. I think he's kind of a blowhard. But this tweet here is spot on. And if me reading Will Chamberlain, if you're too emotional to get past the fact, like you've seen bad takes from him before, and he's a Zionist and he's a Jew and he's blah, please exit stage left. Please remove yourself. Block me. Block the channel. Unfollow. Go away. We don't need infantilized little emotional children who can't consider the words someone says because of some characteristic about them. He says, I'll give you an example of why plan trusting works. I didn't think much of Trump's tariffs. I was skeptical that they would work. But I also know that both Trump and Scott Bessent are extremely competent businessmen with the best interests of the country at heart. So that leads to three thoughts. First, there's a good probability that I'm wrong about the tariffs if the intelligent people that I elected are pushing them. Second, in the event that I'm right, these are not stupid people. They will change course. And third, it's quite possible that they're just designed to be a short-term tactic to force our partners to the negotiating table. And now look, things are fine. The economy's humming, trade deals are being signed. Plan trusting was the move. On Iran, say you're against Trump intervening because you think bombing Fordo won't work and that we'll get bogged down in a regime change war. Consider this. 1. Trump and Vance are competent people that spent much of their political careers mocking neoconservatives. If they think it's necessary to get rid of Iran's nuclear program, maybe they're right. After all, they have much more information than we do. Number 2, if for some reason the bombing fails, Trump is smart enough to cut his losses. He already did something approximating that in Yemen and avoided getting bogged down. And, as discussed yesterday, he's been responsible for plenty of strikes and brief campaigns in the Middle East, but has avoided prolonged slogs. Number 3, maybe all this is part of his negotiating strategy and will force Iran to compromise. Perhaps Iran needs to see the bombs being loaded into B-2s on Diego Garcia in order to sue for peace. Anyway, stay frosty and trust the guys we elected. We elected them for a reason. I said this on a couple of the shows. I don't remember which ones, but I know I said it on multiple of the shows I did in the last couple of days. We've talked a lot about how we need better leaders? I think it's pretty undeniable that we're getting better leaders. If you don't see that, then we're just fundamentally incapable of communicating with each other, and I wish you well. Have a good life. If you can't see that the leaders we've elected this time are different than the leaders that have been elected in the past in very substantive ways, sorry, we're speaking completely different languages. But we need more than just better leaders. We also need better followers. Like, what's the backup plan here? Oh, Trump betrayed us! Okay, so we're gonna, like, go start building lean-tos in the forest or something? I regret voting for Trump! So you're saying you're wishing that Trump hadn't been elected, and instead it was Kamala because we'd be better then. Or what's the alternative? In the future in 2026 we're gonna vote for different Republicans. Okay, sure. Then do that in 2026. Go be one of those Republicans in 2026. Trump betrayed us. MAGA is dead. Okay, so it sounds like you're just expecting that everything in politics is just going to go completely down to shitter. The country is doomed. It sounds like you need to be really hard at work. You shouldn't be wasting your time yelling at people on the internet. You need to be really hard at work, like digging a nuclear bunker or something. But none of those things, none of the people saying those things, they're not saying them because they believe them. Maybe on some surface level they believe them, but performatively they obviously don't. They want attention. They're upset. They can't handle their emotions. And they want someone to gratify their emotions. They want to find other people who feel the same way so they can all stand in a circle jerk and whack each other off. Oh, I'm really sad and disappointed. Yeah, me too. Here, man. Oh, yeah, you too. Oh, we feel so sad. We got betrayed again. I hate being an American. No matter what, whoever you vote for, you always get John McCain. Fuck these people, man. Okay, so notorious Zionist Paul Gottfried has weighed in. Here's a link from Patrick Casey. And I'm just going to read the article. The ritualized confrontation between MAGA and the neocons. Now, obviously, Paul Gottfried is a totally, he's a woke lib, a longtime arch Zionist. Totally can't trust anything he says. He's obviously completely compromised. I wonder if I can get this centered in there. Oh, so annoying. I don't know why it does this weird. Let's see here. If I go like this, got a bunch of articles today, and they're going to do this on every single one. So I'm just going to do this. There. All right, so he says, in a memorable speech delivered at the Heritage Foundation in April of 1988, at which I was present, damn, that was before I was born, Russell Kirk declaimed against the neoconservatives as a force hollowing out the conservative government from within. He emphatically rejected the practice of referring to those leftist outsiders as conservatives and urged true conservatives not to have any truck with such interlopers. Fortunately for the right, Kirk explained, these invaders from the ideological left would not be with us for long. They would soon become an endangered species as more and more people on our side would recognize they were not conservatives and indeed were subverting the right. I suspected even then that Russell was only half right in his judgment about the neoconservatives. Although he was entirely on target in depicting them as interlopers from the left, he wrongly assumed they would soon lose power and fade away into historical insignificance. Just the opposite has happened, as I suggested in my book on the conservative movement. The neoconservatives took over and exploited what had once been far-right foundations. In the process, they made peace with the center-left while isolating the right and became the main voice of what I've dubbed Conservatism, Inc. Even more importantly, neoconservatives became the major beneficiaries of the Murdoch family fortune and today have at their disposal Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, New York Post, and National Review as media vehicles for advancing their agenda. Neoconservatives are even more powerful today than when Kirk attacked them in 1988. And not even the rise of MAGA and the populist right has changed this fact. The neocons have managed to keep the hated paleoconservatives from being heard or read in any enterprise they control. And though there is a MAGA right, it mostly operates through channels that the neoconservatives continue to gatekeep. Just ask Tucker Carlson. This imbalance of power and influence has caused a certain predictable reaction on the part of the traditional right in addressing those issues that the neoconservatives insist on defining for us. One must be a conning dummy not to know what these talking points are. Official conservative positions always reflect the neoconservatives' main ideological concerns and ethnic hates. For example, their over-the-top Zionism, dislike for certain European peoples like Germans and Russians, and residual Trotskyite democratic universalism. When I opened the New York Post these days, I am met with neocon party lines galore about the Middle East, courtesy of Mark Levin, John Podhoretz, Oren Cass, and other official conservatives who are actually neocons. Israel is fighting for all of us against an evil terrorist state, and we should be grateful for what the IDF is doing specifically for Americans by engaging in this struggle. The Murdoch press, moreover, warns us with monotonous regularity about the hordes of anti-Semites who have openly taken the side of the Palestinians in the Big Apple and other American cities. I could think of greater dangers walking the streets of New York, but let me not digress. There are times, however, when neocon rhetoric overlaps with the truth. I don't want to mention the names of all the paleos and strict constitutionalists who suddenly find moderation and rationality in the rule of the mullahs in Iran. They've taken this position while unloading on the Israelis for fighting an enemy that threatened to wipe out their country with a nuclear device. Mind you, these critics have not merely expressed their defensible position to getting the U.S. embroiled in another Middle Eastern war, which is the confirmed position of the majority of Trump's voters. They shed tears for the Iranian government's leaders who are made to look like peace-loving victims of Israeli aggression. I believe this happens because whatever the neocon says engenders a reflexive pushback from our guys. I love that Paul Gottfried is saying our guys. If the hated neocons take a fervently pro-Israel position, then their longtime opponents and the victims of the neocon policy of suppressing the extreme right will naturally seize the opposing position. In my view as a grizzled anti-neocon warrior, I see no reason why our positions should always be the exact opposite of what the neocons are advocating. Even the obsessions of our enemies can occasionally be correct, as I think they are about Iran and the danger it poses as a terrorist state. Personally, I'm delighted that the Israelis have bombed at least some of the mullahs' nuclear installations, and I wouldn't cry if President Trump decides to go after the rest of Iran's nuclear facilities by dropping a bunker bomb. There are states that export terror as their reasons for being, and if we can help others eliminate the danger they pose without sending American troops to fight, I'm in favor of taking that step. That, of course, is different from trying to inflict on hapless countries whatever poses as democracy in the contemporary wokeified, managerialized West. That's a dumb, arrogant position I totally reject. I also embrace the paleo position that our main concern in the U.S. should be cleaning up the moral and political mess that the left has created for us over the last century. Still, there are situations where international positions can be solved by a decisive use of force. We know that Hitler might have been overthrown in the 1930s if the U.S. and England had given support to high-placed resistance forces in Germany. If the U.S. had rendered that assistance, the result might have saved the U.S. from being involved in a devastating war, one in which one tyrant was replaced by another brutal one in Eastern and Central Europe. Much of Europe was left in ruins, and the Nazis and then the Soviets murdered tens of millions. Sometimes a proper use of force can forestall other greater problems, like allowing a terrorist state to continue to wreak havoc. Being first and foremost concerned about the restoration of American sanity and material well-being seems to be a proper priority. But that priority should not require us to whitewash international troublemakers or find excuses for their destructive behavior. And now this. So, comments from Trump. Now these are, it's been a couple of days since I've been able to do a LABE, so this is 2 days ago, and so many things have happened since then. But this is what Trump said. I just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. Sorry, this was on June 4. So this was before the missiles started going back and forth. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and on this, I believe that we were in agreement. Note that statement. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion that Iran has been slow-walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. Then, June 14th, President Putin called this morning to very nicely wish me a happy birthday, but to more importantly talk about Iran, a country he knows very well. We talked at length. Much less time was spent talking about Russia, Ukraine, but that will be for next week. He is doing the planned prisoner swaps. Large numbers of prisoners are being exchanged immediately from both sides. The call lasted approximately 1 hour. He feels, as do I, this war in Israel-Iran should end, to which I explained his war should also end. Last Refuge says, I post the direct statements from President Trump on the Putin calls because if you read the background, both before and after the Israel strike operation, you can clearly see the strategy. Trump is doing what modern U.S. officials never did, show respect to the aligned nuclear powers and positioning for the least amount of geopolitical collateral damage. You don't have to be pro or anti-Trump to understand how executive-level respected diplomacy works. This is why the leadership of the Russian Federation respects Trump, firm but thoughtful, even if they are in opposition to his positions. Trump does not want a targeted problem to escalate into a regional geopolitical conflict. This is the part that Macron, doofus, cannot intellectually conceptualize. Even before the operations begin, Trump draws safe perimeters that all traditional agents of influence can understand. Don't buy clicks and hype. Just focus on the prudent approach evidenced in the honest analysis of Trump's considerations. He is not shooting from the hip. Now, here's an interesting article here, and again, I apologize if I'm just blowing through here, but I want to get through all of the stuff that I have here, and then I'll do another show probably tomorrow. Tomorrow's LABE, we'll talk in more detail about all of this stuff. $10 tip from Michael DeRobio. He says, today I heard Tom Luongo say that Senator Graham would not let the BBB out of committee until POTUS gave Bibi the go-ahead for the Iran attack. See, and that's another point here. There's so many different things that are all at play right now, that are all being weighed. And if you have a problem with horse trading happening in politics, then please invite yourself out of the conversation. We do not live in perfect idealized world that you are fantasizing about. We don't live in a world where Trump can just unilaterally make demands and enforce every last thing that he wants with no concessions whatsoever. He will be forced, and you should have known this from the beginning. This is so obvious that it feels silly to have to say it. You should have known from the beginning that there were going to be bad things that he was going to do that he did not want to do, he would not prefer to do, but that he has to do because he has to manage a coalition with divergent interests. Because that is the world that we live in. Don't be a political atheist. Shout out Jason Miranchuk. Don't get so locked in on all of the oughts that you lose sight of the is. What is? Now, this is an interesting thing here highlighted by Kurt Mills, an article from the Washington Post. The Tier 1 group advising on a potential U.S. strike in Iran is composed of, let's read, navigating Iran crisis, Trump relies on experience over star power. As President-elect Donald Trump assembled his core national security team earlier this year, congressional and media attention fell on two choices better known for their Fox News appearances and invective against a supposed deep state than for their executive branch experience. Director of National Intelligence nominee Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth, Trump's pick to lead the Pentagon. Both won Senate confirmation, barely. But as Trump faces a critical decision about whether to join Israel's military strikes against Iran's nuclear program, perhaps the most momentous of his presidency, neither Gabbard nor Hegseth are playing starring roles as members of Trump's inner circle of advisors, according to current and former U.S. officials and people close to the White House. Trump instead has turned to a small group of lower-key but more experienced aides. These people said. The Tier 1 group advising on a potential U.S. strike in Iran is composed of Vice President J.D. Vance, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Dan Raisin Kane, who I'll remind you was the guy who was responsible for the rapid defeat of ISIS. You know, everyone was saying, "Oh, it's going to take years to defeat ISIS." And Dan Kane was the guy who went to Trump. He's like, "I can do it in like 3 weeks." And Trump was like, "Go for it." He was also was flying F-16s in D.C., protecting D.C. airspace on 9/11. He's an absolutely fascinating guy. We've talked about him on the show in the past. But he is I think he was like a retired colonel, I believe. Not even a general. Maybe he was a general. No, actually, yeah, he is a general. He's a staff general. Or no, he's a general, but he was not a 4-star. That's what it was. So he's a chairman of the Joint Chiefs, but he's not a 4-star, which I believe is the first one ever. So J.D. Vance, Dan Kane, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and CIA Director John Ratcliffe, according to an outside White House advisor who, like others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe sensitive dynamics. These 4 are all extremely loyal to Donald Trump. They're not there as subversives. None of the 4 of these are there as subversives. They're all extremely loyal and devoted to Trump and have a demonstrated track record of that. Together, this quartet is helping Trump as he decides whether to launch weapons only the United States possesses to target nuclear enrichment sites in Iran. Recapping all this stuff. Trump said on Wednesday that he has not decided yet whether he will authorize a strike against Iran. His public statements have veered back and forth in recent weeks between a professed desire for a diplomatic deal that would eliminate Tehran's nuclear program and martial threats, such as a Tuesday social media post demanding Iran's, quote, unconditional surrender. The president changes his position so quickly that it's hard to keep anybody in the loop, said Senator Jack Reed, top Democrat in the Senate Armed Services Committee. I'm sure he's not calling any of his advisors at 1 o'clock in the morning when he says unconditional surrender and things like that. That's one of the problems. Spokespeople for Gabbard and Hegseth disputed that the two were not fully engaged in advising Trump. The president, who often operates on gut instinct, also is navigating the crisis without many of the support structures his predecessors have leaned on. Last month, the White House dismissed scores of professional staffers at the National Security Council. Fuck off. Why is there a link on there? The White House dismissed scores of professional staffers at the National Security Council, which coordinates U.S. security agencies to assess and prepare options for the president. Interesting. So there's this 60-day window for negotiating, at the end of which keeping the leash on Bibi is no longer going to be possible. And just before the end of that 60 days, they cut loose a whole bunch of people from the National Security Council, as well as pushing out Mike Waltz. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. I'm sure this didn't have something to do with recognizing that there was an operation coming and wanting to keep the operational awareness and command of it as narrowed down and close to the president as possible. So here's the other thing is, I saw some people, I can't remember who it was, I saw someone who was talking about how they were like, well, why can't Trump just tell people what we're doing? Why can't he like be more open about what the strategy is here? And I'm like, are you out of your goddamn mind? The man is engaged. We elected the dude to negotiate precisely these types of situations. You have forsaken your senses if you think literally anybody else in the world would be doing better, would be putting us in a better position than he is right now. He is the reason that there are not boots on the ground. This shouldn't even be controversial. It's obvious. He is the reason. He is the singular reason that all of this has been much more measured and controlled than it would be otherwise. Right now, what's happening is if it is in American interests for a denuclearized Iran, I'm just saying if this is the policy, I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't really care that much about Iran. I kind of would prefer to just not hear about it. But I'm not naive enough to think that that's a reasonable position for the president of the United States to have. And if he just finished doing this Gulf state tour and part of the negotiations with the big deals that he signed was you were going to facilitate the denuclearization of Iran, or at least the removal of preventing them from getting a nuclear bomb. If that was part of the negotiations, then this is his obligation to do this. How is this not obvious? And so what they did is they cleaned out a bunch of dual citizens, a bunch of dual citizen types. Trump has imposed deep cuts on other arms of government, including the State Department and international broadcast operations that predecessors have used to reach foreign populations. In one telling example, about 75 employees of the Voice of America, mostly from its Persian news division, were recalled from administrative leave last Friday amid the escalating warfare between Israel and Iran. Among his national security aides, Trump has soured on Gabbard in recent months following a series of public controversies involving her in the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, which she oversees, according to people familiar with the situation. This is transparent propaganda. This is obviously a pressure campaign to drive a wedge between Tulsi and Trump. And when our guys go, oh no, he's going to get rid of Tulsi. Oh, that's when we'll know that he's betrayed us. I will turn my back on him forever if he gets rid of Tulsi. You are parroting Zionist propaganda to contribute to the fracturing, the destabilization of Trump's administration. How do you possibly expect that to put us in a better situation than we are right now? Are you retarded? Panicins, man. There's this video with Hiroshima. Supposedly, an outside advisor says that Trump wasn't happy about the video. Gabbard's testimony, other people have talked about this. Vance came to her defense, called her a patriot. She's an essential member of our national security team. There was one other point here that I wanted to read. Here. The CIA chief's analysis of Iran's nuclear program is pessimistic and closer to Trump's. According to two people familiar with his testimony, Ratcliffe used a football analogy in a closed-door Senate Appropriations Subcommittee hearing Tuesday to argue that the formal U.S. intelligence assessment that Iran has not decided to build a bomb is of limited use. Quote, it's like saying a football team marched 99 yards down the field, got to the 1 yard line, and they don't have the intention to score. One of the people quoted him as telling lawmakers. Let's see here. As the United States moves additional military forces in the Middle East to help defend Israel from Iranian counterstrikes, protect U.S. assets, and possibly launch bunker-busting bombs at Iran's buried nuclear sites, Trump is relying more on a pair of four-star generals than on Hegseth, his defense secretary, according to 3 U.S. officials. Sean Parnell said it's completely false that the defense secretary is disengaged. But 2 current U.S. officials said Kurilla and Kane have taken the lead on discussing military options with Trump, largely sidestepping Hegseth and his team at the Pentagon. Nobody's talking to Hegseth, one official says. There is no interface operationally between Hegseth and the White House at all. Hegseth was engaged early in his role as defense secretary, according to a person familiar with the matter, but the fallout from the Signalgate controversy, during which he shared sensitive operational details on a group chat that inadvertently included a prominent journalist, and his preoccupation with leaks and distrust in the Pentagon have distracted him from substantial policy matters, the person said. As if leaks and distrust in the Pentagon are not substantial policy matters. What this reads to me like, the outside advisor described Rubio as being on good terms with other members of Trump's inner circle and, quote, very deferential to Trump. Loyalty. I would not at all be surprised if Hegseth, this totally squares for me. We've heard about how Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi are effectively the PR face for DHS and DOJ respectively. I would not at all be surprised if Hegseth's role is similar. His responsibility, like reading between the lines here, his responsibility is probably focus on the bureaucratic managing of the Pentagon and inspiring the troops, motivating the troops, and being the face of the Department of Defense. And then the actual operational military strategy part of it is going to be handled by, this may be the role of Dan Kane. Like Dan Kane is sort of like the de facto Secretary of Defense, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. He's taking over that sort of military advisory role when it comes to the actual in-theater strategy and everything. That's entirely conceivable to me. And that's exactly the sort of thing that WAPO would seize upon and try to frame this as Hegseth has been sidelined. Because, again, the goal here is to try to split the coalition and weaken Trump's political status. And the Panicins are doing the bulk of the footwork on that. Another interesting thing here from the New York Times, how Trump shifted on Iran under pressure from Israel. President Trump spent the first months of his term holding back Israel's push for an assault on Iran's nuclear program. With the war underway, his posture has gyrated as he weighs sending in the U.S. military. Ready to go? Okay. All right. I got to run my sister to work. I'll probably be back here in about an hour, and I think what I'm going to try to do here is leave EWBSX running on here. There's the possibility that it goes down, and sometimes if I'm just sitting here playing with it on the browser, sometimes like the browser seizes up or something. So it may go down. If it does, apologies. Nothing I can do about that. But I am going to get that going here now. And when I get back, I'll finish. I've got this article to read. I've got this interesting thread on perhaps what's happening there in the Middle East from Tanvi Ratna. She's got some interesting insights here. And then a couple of threads from this guy, Dan Talks One. And then we have an article Tom Luongo posted here for The Last Refuge about the targeting of Tulsi Gabbard. So if you guys want to listen to some EWBSX, here you go. I will be back. Keep an eye out for my Twitter. I will tweet that I'm about to go live, come back in and continue the LABE. So for now, enjoy a little bit of EWBSX.
All I ever wanted was
Cyberbully here. You gotta ask yourself, is today a disrespect your surroundings day or a make America great again day? Why not both?
I had a way then, losing it all on my own. I had a heart then, but the queen has been overthrown. And I'm not sleeping now, the dark is too hard to beat. And I'm not keeping now the strength I need to push me. You show the lights that stop me, turn to stone. You shine me when I'm alone, and so I tell myself that I'll be strong. Dreaming when they're gone, 'cause they're calling, calling, calling me home, calling, calling, calling home. Show the lights that stop me, turn to stone. You shine me when I'm alone.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine.
EWBSX, the cyberbully. Like J6 times 9/11 for your ears.
that I want to punch you in the nose. Don't beat your goddamn ass, you son of a bitch. You're an intellectual dumbass, and I'm coming. You coward, you think you're a tough guy. I hate you, coward. We're gonna defeat this anti-human scum. We're gonna wreck their world.
Looking big, King.
I feel so unsure. a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. There's a party going on right here. A dedication to last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We gon' celebrate and party with you. Come on now. Let's all celebrate and have a good time. Yeah, yeah. We gon' celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world, come on. It's a celebration. It's a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. Come on now. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright, baby. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright. It's a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. Come on and celebrate tonight. 'Cause everything's gonna be alright. Let's celebrate. Celebrate good times, come on.
He was struggling to keep his prayer alive. And he was in his cell, and he heard the door open, and he knew it was a demon. What did he do? He leapt on it. He literally jumped up on the demon. He describes in his letter that he felt it with like a pig with prickly things coming out of his side. I thought to myself, when I read that, I just went, I am not a man. That's what the first thing I thought. I am a woman, and a bad one at that. That's what I thought. I mean, how?
Can you sing, Master Hobbit?
Well, yes. At least, well enough for my own people. But we have no songs for great halls and evil times.
And why should your songs be unfit for my halls? Come, sing me a song.
Oh, miss behind the world ahead, and there are many paths to tread through shadow to the edge of night, until the stars are all alive. Mist and shadow, cloud and shade, all shall fade, all shall
after that, you won't find it. The shortcut is a lie. The hack doesn't get you there. And if you want to take the easy road, it won't take you to where you want to be. Stronger, smarter, faster, healthier, better. Free. To reach goals and overcome obstacles and be the best version of you possible will not happen by itself. It will not happen cutting corners, taking shortcuts, or looking for the easy way. There is no easy way. There is only hard work, late nights, early mornings, practice, rehearsal, repetition, study, sweat, blood, toil, frustration, and discipline. Discipline. There must be discipline. 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 There must be discipline. 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 There must be discipline. Discipline, the root of all good qualities, the driver of daily execution, the core principle that overcomes laziness and lethargy and excuses. Excuses. Discipline defeats the infinite excuses that say, not today, not now, I need a rest, I'll do it tomorrow. 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 What's the hack? How do you become stronger, smarter, faster, healthier? How do you become better? How do you achieve true freedom? There is only one way. The way of discipline. 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 There must be discipline. 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 There must be discipline.
We got a #1 victory royale. Yeah, Fortnite, we bout to get down. 10 kills on the board right now. Just wiped out Tomato Town. My friend just gone down. I revived him, now we're heading southbound. Now we're in the Pleasant Park streets. Look at the map, go to the marked sheet. Take me to your Xbox to play Fortnite today. You can take me on Steam Iron, but not Loot Lake. I really love to chug with you. pro Fortnite gamers. He said, hey broski, you got some heals in a shield pot? I need healing and I am only at 1 HP. Hey dude, sorry, I found nothing on this safari. I checked the upstairs of that house, but not the underneath yet. There's a chest that's just down there. The storm is coming fast and you need heals to prepare. I've got V-Bucks that I'll spend, more than you can contend. I'm a cool pro Fortnite gamer. Cool pro Fortnite. Take me to your Xbox to play Fortnite today. You can take me Rusty Meyer, but not Loot Lake. I really love to chug jug with you. We can be pro Fortnite gamers. La 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 yeah. La 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 yeah. La 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 yeah. Will you be my pro Fortnite gamer? Pro Fortnite gamer. Can we get a win this weekend? Take me to Loot Lake. Let's change the game mode and we can disco dominate. Let's hop on an ATK. Take me to the zone. I'm running kind of low on mats. I need to break some stone. Dressed in all his fancy clothes. He's got Renegade Raider and he's probably a pro. He just shot my back. I turn back and I attack. I just got a victory royale. A victory royale. Take me to your Xbox to play Fortnite today. You can take me to Rusty Meyer, but not Loot Lake. I really love to chug jug with you. We can be pro Fortnite gamers.
You're listening to EWBSX, the Cyberbully. Your daily dose of bangers.
My soul straight down out of the world with my fingers holding on to the devil. I know all my troubles are hanging your trigger. Take your eyes and your mind from the road. Shoot your mouth if you know you're aiming. Don't forget to pick up what you sow. Talking trash to the garbage around you. Snakes and bones in the back of your room, handing out a confection of venom. Heaven's drunk with the poison you use. Charm the boys with the eyes of a gambler. Now I see it's a comfort to you. Hammer my bones in the anvil of daylight. All we know, there's too much left to taste. That's bitter. I won't care how that goes. Let's hit the wind. These tongues are twisted. It's good in us. All we know, there's too much left to taste. That's bitter.
strolling through the park. When the light begins to change, I sometimes feel a little strange, a little anxious when it's dark. Fear of the dark, fear of the dark. I have a constant fear that something's always near. Fear of the dark, fear of the dark. I have a phobia that someone's always there. walking a dark road. I am a man who walks alone.
I am back, and now the LABE can continue. Thank you for tolerating the brief intermission. Didn't wind up being quite as long as I expected, and you're back and ready to rock and roll. It's funny, the viewership actually increased while I was gone. Maybe this is a good idea. Maybe I should just set the set EWBSX to stream like this for a couple hours every day before I do the LABE. That's an idea I've considered. It may be something that I wind up doing. I just got to figure out how to do it logistically on the back end. Oh man, I just saw this come across the old timeline. We've got raids on Home Depot in Southern California. And during a CBP raid at a Home Depot in Hollywood, leftists surrounded agents and screamed, "We want you to all fucking die!" And here's what this guy had to say.
There you go. There you go. Come on. Get back to fucking. Get back on the sidewalk. You guys have no right. Where the fuck am I supposed to go? Fuck you.
Bounty hunters only, not real ICE agents. You guys have to identify yourself. Who you are. You're coming to us, so we're over here. I don't want you there. You guys you're coming to us. You're coming to us. Yeah, I know, but we're coming.
We are recording. We're right here. We're recording.
I'm cool with that. Coming to us. Just let them work. You are not.
No, we are. Want them to work.
We're yelling.
Fucking
We're
die.
Most
we want you all to fucking die.
Most of you. You're not a real.
No,
You do too.
and you're not gonna get Jesus.
This is humanity. Treating humans like this.
I won't think about that.
Treating humans like this. That's Jesus.
I had a long conversation, was it yesterday or within the last couple of days, with a buddy of mine who has been involved in security operations and stuff in Washington State, as there's been these various different riots, and I got some interesting inside information from him about who the funding of all these things, how their operations are working, the Antifa, the different kind of ranks within Antifa, and what their plans are, what they're doing, all that sort of thing. And I've got some videos on it that he sent over to me that I just need to get into a shareable format. So maybe that's something I'll do in tomorrow's show. But things are definitely gonna pick up more from here, from the sound of it. And he said his expectation is that there's basically going to be outright war in the streets by probably July or August, based on the way that the people that he's getting involved with in the streets and hearing the things they're saying and what their future plans are, what they're trying to build up to, that sort of thing. 2 points that I'll say here that he told me was, one, all of the No Kings protest thing was whether this was the intent of it or not, the idea was to what it was being used for by Antifa and the like was a distraction. So all the media and everyone was focused over there, and they were getting involved in scuffles and stuff elsewhere. And it's they're being paid by the Walton family, and by one of the other major funders of a lot of the paramilitary activity within these liberal cities is Maxine Waters. Coming through, is being facilitated and funded through Maxine Waters, which is kind of an interesting thing. That wasn't a name that I expected to hear. But I'm going to have some more prepared thoughts on it on tomorrow's LABE. So let's keep going. Let's read this next article. For those of you just joining, we had about an hour of LABE, and then I had to run off and take my sister to work. And so once this is over, you should go back and listen to the first half. We'll probably go for about another hour or so. Maybe a little less than that. I got some stuff to read through. So we're talking about the whole Iran-Israel thing and the Panikins versus the Trust the Planikins. Of course, we here at the ASTROLABE are diehard Trust the Planikins. Slutty Milk says I just dropped this video in the Discord. Yeah, that's where I got it. I was sitting there. I was waiting for the Iron Maiden song to finish, so I was scrolling through the Discord, and I saw that. I was like, oh, that's very good. That's very, very good. So there's one particular thing and a couple other interesting things in this article I want to highlight. This is from the New York Times. How Trump shifted on Iran under pressure from Israel. President Trump spent the first months of his term holding back Israel's push for an assault on Iran's nuclear program. With the war underway, his posture has gyrated as he weighs sending in the U.S. military. This was published 2 days ago by Jonathan Swan, Maggie Haberman, Mark Mazzetti, and Ronan Bergman. So many of these... Whoops.
Get your special sock out, nerds. It's gonna get good.
Hey, we got a little special sock drop as well. I accidentally clicked the wrong thing. But there's some dinging going on here in this article. By the end of last month, American spy agencies monitoring Israel's military activities and discussions among the country's political leadership had come to a striking conclusion. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was planning for an imminent attack on Iran's nuclear program, with or without the participation of the United States. So, the official deep state propaganda line here with the official story is, even they're saying the official story is that this imminent attack was going to happen with or without the participation of the United States. So now, obviously, none of us has any inside information on this. Anybody who's weighing in on any of this stuff publicly is speculating, piecing together different points and trying to create a narrative out of it and speculating. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm speculating, but I'm very. I have yet to see any compelling evidence against the idea that Trump gave them this 60-day negotiation window. And whether it was he negotiated with Netanyahu and said, okay, give me 60 days, hold off for 60 days, and then I'm not going to stop you anymore. And which actually works well for the sake of negotiations. Like, if you're going to speak loudly and carry a big stick, then you need to be able to speak loudly and have the big stick there credibly believable as a backup. Even if you don't want to use it, even if you're treating it as an absolute last resort, you don't want to go to that point, you at least have to make it credible to the other side of the negotiating table that is something that you are willing to do. Otherwise, like, what's the point of it? It doesn't even matter. And they have no reason to, it just weakens your negotiation position. So this is one of the things about having this dogmatic anti-war ideology. If you say, our official position is isolationism, anti-war, we are never going to be involved in any capacity whatsoever in the Middle East, then you're advertising yourself as a weak position. How are you ever going to manage negotiations or anything after that? And if you're trying to come in here and say, like, the president of the United States or the U.S. federal government doesn't have any interest whatsoever in the Middle East and should not be involved in negotiations in any capacity over there, you're completely out to lunch. You're living in fantasy land. Again, don't get caught up on all the oughts, such that you lose sight of the is. The is that the president of the United States and the U.S. federal government are going to be involved in anything that happens in the Middle East right now. And they always will be. There always will be an involvement. The question is what type of involvement and at what scale and what's the focus and what's the strategy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if the goal is to withdraw from the Middle East, you can't just say, hey, everyone, we're going home, sell off the military bases, and we're just going to bring every single man home and have no presence there whatsoever. All of our diplomats, all of the embassies, close them all down. That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen, and it doesn't need to happen. It's absurd. You're not living in the real world if you're thinking that way. The United States is always going to have a presence in the Middle East, no matter what. Ideally, that presence is with allies, or at least with a more stable, peaceful situation than there is right now. And if your view of the world is it's not possible to have peace, it's not possible to have stability, or even it's not possible to have more peace or more stability than there is right now, then again, you're not like a rational, wise person. You're just a dogmatic ideologue spouting off. You're just ranting about some sort of hobby that you have that has no actual bearing on the real world. So the position from the New York Times is that Israel was going to strike whether Trump gave them the go-ahead or not. Whether Trump was involved or not, Israel was going to strike. Mr. Netanyahu had spent more than a decade warning that an overwhelming military assault was necessary before Iran reached the point that it would quickly build a nuclear weapon. Yet he'd always backed down after multiple American presidents, fearful of the consequences of another conflagration in the Middle East, told him the United States would not assist in an attack. You know, honestly, I don't necessarily think that that's entirely wrong. I think there's particularly, well, I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about Obama, Trump, and Biden. So I actually don't doubt that the United States has not been militarily active in the Middle East enough from the perspective of Netanyahu. And that's basically what we're getting here. But this time, the American intelligence assessment was that Mr. Netanyahu was preparing not just a limited strike on the nuclear facilities, but a far more expansive attack that could imperil the Iranian regime itself, and that he was prepared to go it alone. The intelligence left President Trump facing difficult choices. He had become invested in a diplomatic push to persuade Iran to give up its nuclear ambitions, and had already swatted down one attempt by Mr. Netanyahu in April to convince him that the time was right for a military assault on Iran. Now, interesting timing. He swatted down an attempt in April. How many days ago, approximately, is April? It sounds to me, unless you think that the New York Times is now like running narrative cover for Donald Trump, for the Trump administration, it sounds to me like Netanyahu was ready to pull the trigger in April, and Trump said, give me 60 days. And at the end of 60 days, if we can't make something happen by then I'm not going to stand in your way, but I'm also not going to get involved. Because Trump does not want to get involved in military entanglements in the Middle East. He has an entire first term where he made a point of that. Whatever involvement that he did have, it was limited in scale of personnel, and it was limited in duration. Like, big strike, seal up the problem, get it done with as soon as possible, and get out of there. That's his preferred approach. That's what he said for the entire time he's been, for the last 10 years, and he's followed that up with action as well. And this time around, he's included way more people within his cabinet, within his immediate inner circle, who think about things the same way. During a strained phone call in late May, Mr. Trump again warned the Israeli leader against a unilateral attack that would short-circuit the diplomacy. So there was a strained phone call in late May, according to the New York Times. And Trump is telling Bibi, hold off, stand down. But over the last several weeks, it became increasingly apparent to the Trump administration officials that they might not be able to stop Mr. Netanyahu this time, according to interviews with key players in the administration's deliberations over how to respond and others familiar with their thinking. At the same time, Mr. Trump was getting impatient with Iran over the slow pace of negotiations and beginning to conclude that the talks might go nowhere. As that truth I read you guys just a little while ago before the break, he said, I'm beginning to sense that they are slow walking these negotiations. Contrary to Israeli claims, senior administration officials were unaware of any new intelligence showing that the Iranians were rushing to build a nuclear bomb, a move that would justify a preemptive strike. But seeing they would most likely not be able to deter Mr. Netanyahu and were no longer driving events, Mr. Trump's advisors weighed alternatives. At one end of the spectrum was sitting back and doing nothing, and then deciding on next steps once it became clear how much Iran had been weakened by the attack. At the other end was joining Israel in the military assault, possibly to the point of forcing regime change in Iran. So option one is we hold Bibi back as long as possible. When it becomes clear that we can't hold him back anymore, all right, there's nothing we can't stop you, so go for it. Sorry, Iran, we were negotiating. We were negotiating in good faith, and now we can't stop him any longer. And then you wait and you see, okay, so how much of this is bark? And how much bite is there behind it with Iran? And it seems, thus far, by everything I can see, it seems like Iran has been much more of a paper tiger than they appeared to be. The way that Syria went down just overnight kind of it was starting to indicate in that direction. You've also seen Putin has come out and explicitly said, we are not going to get involved. They are not going to come in and support Iran. Pakistan did some bluster about, if someone nukes Iran, then we're going to respond with the nukes of our own, which is a way of saying, yeah, we're not getting involved. We're not getting involved, but we're going to kind of make it look like we have. And then from there on, like consider this as you're thinking about the various different players that might have interests in this conflict on either side. Everyone's talking about the dogs that are barking, but nobody's talking about the dogs that aren't barking. Which dogs aren't barking? Who is coming out in support of Iran or advocating against what's happening, saying, no, this shouldn't happen, or if this does happen, we're apart from Pakistan, there's nobody who's like, oh, if you do this, then we're going to get involved. Nobody. Not China, not Turkey, not Saudi Arabia, not any of the other Gulf states, no European countries, no one else. There's nobody else who's come out and been like, hey, we're Iran's friend. We're gonna back up Iran here. They're on their own. They don't have any friends in the area. And there's been nobody who's coming out and condemning Israeli strikes. Because nobody likes the current Iranian regime. Nobody wants them around. Even their allies don't care about them. Their so-called allies. So there's absolutely utility. And here's the thing. What's happening right now is Israel is putting skin in the game. They're the ones who are undertaking this. Obviously, there are support people from the U.S. government that are involved, from the U.S. armed forces that are involved in this to some limited degree. But even that being said, Israel is absolutely doing the brunt of the heavy lifting. They're putting their own people at risk. Their people are the ones dying. They're expending blood and treasure themselves on this, which is a vast improvement over past similar circumstances. We've said this before, but over the last week, Tel Aviv has just been getting hammered. And yet the United States has still not committed to getting involved any further than they already are. Again, if your perspective on Trump ran on a no new wars platform, if you think that means that when Trump was elected, he was going to have zero involvement in anything whatsoever in the Middle East, and there was never going to be any sort of military action at any scale, under any circumstances, whatever, you're a fucking rube. You're a stupid person. You cannot... Imagine having a president that says, hey, imagine having a leader of any country that says, we are never going to use our military. Imagine the president of the United States saying, we will never use our military as a matter of principle. Tel Aviv is known for getting pounded. Indeed it is. Pounding is a regular hobby there. E-Wizard says, so we believe the New York Times? I'm willing to wait and see what DJT does, but I deeply resent people that want us there and think they are enemies. What do you mean we believe the New York Times? What does that mean? We believe the New York Times. I'm reading what the New York Times is saying, and I'm interpreting it as something being said by the New York Times. It's not like the New York Times lies, therefore you need to plug your ears and cover your eyes and make sure no New York Times words ever see you. You just read it through the lens of recognizing this is coming from the New York Times. So even the official story, the official anti-Trump story is that Israel was going to do with this whether or not Trump got involved. And I'll ask again, if you think that Trump is just sitting here doing the bidding of Bibi, or Bibi's handlers, or whoever, if you think Trump is just doing the bidding of Israel, it's like some boomer zombie just like, Israel, then why do we have such a massive pressure campaign from both Israel and all of the neocons in the United States who are wildly agitating for Trump to get as fully involved as possible. You know what? Even the neocons themselves, even some of them are saying things like we shouldn't like have boots on the ground and like go fully get involved, but we need to drop that bunker buster. Obviously, you drop the bunker buster and then they're going to want more and then they're going to want more and then they're going to want more because that's the neocons. But even they know what time it is. Even they see what the tenor of the population is like. And as Luongo mentioned, there was that report that Lindsey Graham was holding up the big beautiful bill until he got something on this, which is exactly how Trump is obviously always going to have to approach this. He has this coalition that he has to pull together. He needs this bill to pass. He doesn't have a real majority. He has traitors and snakes all throughout Congress. So he's obviously going to have to give up things he doesn't want. He's going to have to do things that he doesn't want to do, by definition, so he can negotiate and compromise to get the things that he needs. He needs the big, beautiful bill to pass. That means he needs every single Republican vote. Or he can only afford to lose a couple, like one or two. Which means there are going to be traitorous Republicans that he needs to give something to in order to induce them to vote for it. If you think that's Trump betraying you, you're a child. You don't have the stomach for this. Just check out of politics. It's okay. It's okay to be someone who can't handle it. That's the majority of people. That's why the majority of people don't care about it. They don't like it. They don't want to be involved. They don't want to pay attention to it. But that also means shut up. Stop talking. Your opinion doesn't matter. You weighing in is not needed. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of the time of anybody who's reading or listening to anything you have to say. Let's keep reading. Mr. Trump chose a middle course, offering Israel as yet undisclosed support from the U.S. intelligence community to carry out its attack, and then turning up the pressure on Tehran to give immediate concessions at the negotiating table or face continued military onslaught. So again, we're going to give you intelligence support, and we're going to threaten the hell out of you, and we're going to make them actually do the dirty work. We're going to make them use their equipment, use their manpower, their blood. They're the ones who are going to do it. This is not get involved in endless wars. This is not typical Zionist foreign policy. If you can't see that, I don't know what else to tell you. This is a clear shift in foreign policy. Israel is going to be allowed to be bombed. Israel is going to be responsible for the military engagements. The United States is not. We're going to stand back and monitor the situation. We're monitoring. Oh, that's good. Slutty Milk says God gave the gayest city on earth the Sodom and Gomorrah treatment for Pride Month. Oh, that's good. Eskudabnevsky said I wasn't expecting to celebrate Pride Month by pounding Israel. Ryan Isaac says President Chase Oliver would principally never use the military. He loves getting pounded. 5 days after Israel launched its attack, Mr. Trump's posture continues to gyrate. The administration at first distanced itself from the strikes, then grew more publicly supportive as Israel's initial military success became evident. Why would you characterize this as like a bad thing? All right, we don't know exactly how this is going to go. We have an idea of how it might go, but we're not the ones doing this. We're gonna stand aside and allow it to happen, but we're gonna make sure that it's not associated with us. This isn't us doing it. So if it totally blows up in our face, we're not going to be the ones stuck with the scandal on it. We're not going to own that. And then if it doesn't completely catastrophically blow up in our faces, then okay, yeah, we're gonna endorse and support it, particularly for public image purposes, for the continued negotiating. Now, Mr. Trump is seriously considering sending American aircraft in to help refuel Israeli combat jets and to try to take out Iran's deep underground nuclear site at Fordo with 30,000-pound bombs, a step that would mark a stunning turnabout from his opposition just 2 months ago to any military action while there was still a chance of a diplomatic solution. So this is exactly what I'm talking about here. Is he seriously considering this? Maybe. He has to. He has to seriously consider it. Because if you threaten it and then don't follow through with it, that just weakens you as a negotiator going forward. And the dude is a negotiator. He knows how to negotiate. He has demonstrated that he knows how to negotiate. So it would be prudent that everyone would need to believe that he is seriously considering that. You want Iran to believe that he's seriously considering that. So that they'll chill the hell out and agree to whatever the negotiation terms are. And as for what sort of strategy they might be approaching with these negotiations, I've got some more stuff upcoming, so hold your horses on that. The other thing here is a stunning turnabout from his opposition just 2 months ago to any military action while there was still a chance of a diplomatic solution. That's not a stunning turnabout. Is there a diplomatic solution? Is there the possibility of a diplomatic solution? Yes, sir, there is. All right, I am wholly opposed to any military action while there is a chance of a diplomatic solution. Is there no longer a chance of a diplomatic solution? Okay, we may need to consider military action. The story of what led up to the Israeli strike is one of two leaders in Mr. Trump and Mr. Netanyahu who share a common goal: preventing Iran from getting a nuclear bomb, but who are wary of each other's motives. They speak often in public about their strong political and personal bonds, and yet the relationship has long been beset by mistrust. Interviews with 24 officials in the United States, Israel, and the Persian Gulf region show how Mr. Trump vacillated for months over how and whether to contain Mr. Netanyahu's impulses as he confronted the first foreign policy crisis of his second term. It was a situation he faced with a relatively inexperienced circle of advisors handpicked for loyalty. Loyalty greater than experience. This year, he told a political ally that Mr. Netanyahu was trying to drag him into another Middle East war, the type of war he promised during his presidential campaign last year he would keep America out of. But he also came to believe the Iranians were playing him in the diplomatic negotiations, much as President Vladimir V. Putin, I've never seen that before, of Russia did as Mr. Trump sought a ceasefire and peace deal in Ukraine. And when Israel chose war, Mr. Trump cycled from skepticism about attaching himself too closely to Mr. Netanyahu to inching toward joining him in dramatically escalating the conflict, even bucking the view that there is no immediate nuclear threat from Iran. As he rushed back to Washington from a Group of Seven summit in Canada early on Tuesday morning, Mr. Trump took issue with an element of public testimony from Tulsi Gabbard, his director of national intelligence, that the intelligence community did not believe Iran was actively building nuclear weapons, even as it enriches uranium that could ultimately be used for a nuclear arsenal. Quote, "I don't care what she said," Mr. Trump told reporters. "I think they were very close to having them." I believe it was Luongo who said this, that there's certain things that Trump says that are like when he doesn't speak precisely, he often will just kind of say something flippantly. And this is a good example of that. He's like, "I don't care what she said." He's just dismissing it. This isn't like, "I don't care what she said. Stupid Tulsi." This is just, "Yeah, I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having them." And I'll add this too, like ultimately, whether, I don't think Iran are good actors. I think that Iran is, like Paul Gottfried said in the thing I read earlier, I think Iran is a dysfunctional state. I think it's a dysfunctional nation. I think the whole the state sponsor of terrorism and all of that is absolutely true. They have obviously well documented have been a major sponsor of terror in general, and them existing in that capacity, them existing in that state of could have the bomb, could make a nuclear bomb, could have one. They're about to get one. They're going to get one. They might get one. That is, as Luongo has said, that is the forever war right there. Now, if you deal with the problem of nuclear Iran, could there be another thing that comes up that is the cause for forever war? Sure, of course. But that doesn't mean it necessarily is not prudent to resolve this issue of Iran trying to build a nuclear bomb. And it seems pretty clear that they are enriching uranium far past the point that they would need if they weren't at least teasing with the idea, at least wanting to keep it out there as a thing to justify whatever narrative needs to be justified. And if the goal is to withdraw the majority of our presence in the Middle East, our military presence at least, if the goal is to withdraw that and to step back, then dealing with the most urgent pressing issue in the region, which is, as it seems, everyone else, all of the neighbors in the region, are all just fine with Iran being denuclearized or nuclearly disarmed. They all seem to be perfectly fine with it. If anything, I'm very much inclined to believe that they asked Trump to do this. They wanted Trump to do this. So if they were going to withdraw from the Middle East, this conceivably is what it would look like to me. For Netanyahu, the last several months brought to an end years of trying to cajole the United States into backing or at least tolerating his long-held desire to deal Iran's nuclear program a crippling blow. He appears to have judged correctly that Mr. Trump would ultimately come around, if only grudgingly. Beyond the lives lost and destruction wrought, the crisis has also laid bare schisms within Mr. Trump's party between those inclined to reflexively defend Israel, America's closest ally in the region, and those determined to keep the United States from getting further mired in the Middle East cycle of violence. In the middle was Mr. Trump, determined to block Iran's path to a bomb and caught between cultivating his own image of strength and the potential strategic and political consequences of acting aggressively against Iran. This is all just, like, this sort of stuff is just slop. Like, once they get into analysis, that's where it's just like, okay, this is just slop. Asked for comment, a White House spokesman pointed to public comments made by Mr. Trump about not allowing Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. This is actually another good point here. So, the people who have said, Trump betrayed us! He said no more wars! I didn't vote for this! What you did is you voted for a guy who repeatedly, over and over and over again, for years has said, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Agree with that or not. It doesn't matter whether you agree with Iran having a nuclear weapon or not. Your opinion on the matter is absolutely irrelevant to the fact that he has been 100% consistent on this for years and said it repeatedly over and over and over again on the campaign trail. So when you voted for him, this is what you voted for. By definition, this is what you voted for. If you regret that, okay, fine, whatever. That's a personal problem. Write it in your diary. When Mr. Trump met with his top advisors at the wooded presidential retreat of Camp David late on Sunday, June 8, to review the fast-evolving situation, the CIA Director John Ratcliffe provided a blunt assessment. It was highly likely, he said, that Israel would soon strike Iran with or without the United States, according to two people familiar with the briefing who spoke. The president sat at the head of the table in a rustic conference room inside Laurel Lodge. There were no slides, only maps prepared by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane. For 2.5 hours, he and Mr. Ratcliffe described their expectation of an imminent Israeli attack. Ms. Gabbard was on National Guard duty that weekend and was not included in the meeting. Mr. Trump's advisors had been preparing for this moment. In late May, they had seen intelligence that made them concerned that Israel was going to move ahead with a major assault on Iran, regardless of what the president was trying to achieve diplomatically with Tehran. So notice here, June 8th, when this happened, I believe it was shortly thereafter here that they began withdrawing all their diplomatic staff from the region, urgently withdrawing them. And then the day that the Israeli strikes happened, the head of CENTCOM was on his way over there, was halfway across the Atlantic, and then turned around and came back. And a few hours later, the bombing started. Very curious behavior. Based on that intelligence, Vice President J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, in his joint role as Secretary of State National Security Advisor, encouraged an effort to give the president a range of options so he could make quick decisions, if necessary, about the scope of American involvement. Mr. Ratcliffe's intelligence gathering efforts went into overdrive. And in the 2 weeks leading up to the Camp David meeting, Mr. Trump's top advisors met multiple times to get on the same page about what the menu of potential options might be. Now, if you listen to a bunch of the fucking faggoty panicans out there, they would have you believe that the proper posture in this, the Vance and Rubio and Dan Kane and John Ratcliffe say, all right, so it looks like no matter what we do, Israel is going to be launching this attack here in the very near future. And apparently Trump's response should have been, nope, stop talking, don't want to hear anymore, doesn't matter, we're not getting involved, we're staying out of it. Tell Bibi to go fuck himself. In fact, call a press conference right now. I'm going to go do it on stage right away. As fun as that would be. The day after the Camp David meeting, Monday, June 9, Mr. Trump got on the phone with Mr. Netanyahu. The Israeli leader was unequivocal. The mission was a go. Mr. Netanyahu laid out his intentions at a high level, according to 3 people with knowledge of the call. He made clear that Israel had forces on the ground inside Iran. Mr. Trump was impressed by the ingenuity of the Israeli military planning. He made no commitments, but after he got off the call, he told his advisors, I think we might have to help him. Still, the president was torn over what to do next and quizzed advisors throughout the week. He had wanted to manage Iran on his own terms, not Mr. Netanyahu's, and he had professed confidence in his deal-making abilities. But he'd come to believe that the Iranians were stringing him along. Unlike some in the anti-interventionist wing of his party, Mr. Trump was never of the view that America could live with and contain an Iran with a nuclear bomb. He shared Mr. Netanyahu's view that Iran was an existential threat to Israel. Mr. Netanyahu, he told aides, was going to do what was necessary to protect his country. The diplomatic route. Israel had begun preparing in December for an attack on Iran after the decimation of Hezbollah, an Iranian proxy, and the collapse of the Assad regime in Syria, opening up airspace for a bombing campaign. Mr. Netanyahu made his first visit of the second Trump term to the White House in February 4. This is the big part of this. The big reason I wanted to read this whole thing was this part right here. He presented a gold-plated pager to Mr. Trump and a silver-plated pager to Mr. Vance. The same devices the Israelis had secretly packed with explosives and sold to unwitting Hezbollah operatives who would later be maimed and killed in a devastating remote control attack on the Iran-backed Lebanese group. Mr. Trump later told an ally he was disturbed by the gift. Once again, to anybody, and again I noticed this, the perspective of the Zionists and the Panicans is that Trump and Bibi are like this. That Trump and Bibi are in lockstep. He gave him a fucking gold-plated pager. An obvious threat. And a pretty dirty, subversive one at that. And Trump was creeped out by it. And this is coming from the New York Times. So it's not like this is some like pro-Trump propaganda outlet that's trying to run cover for Trump to deceive you shaky little panicans. It's not like they're trying to like deceive you about Trump to make him look better than he actually is or whatever. Mr. Netanyahu gave Mr. Trump a presentation about Iran in the Oval Office, walking him through images of the country's various nuclear sites. Israeli intelligence showed that Iran was making cruder and faster efforts to get to a nuclear weapon, and the weaker the Iranians got, the closer they moved to the bomb. In terms of the enrichment of uranium, Iran was days away from where it needed to be, but there were other components it required to complete the weapon. The Israelis made an additional argument to Mr. Trump. If you want diplomacy to succeed, you have to prepare for a strike so there is real force behind the negotiations. Privately, they fretted that Mr. Trump would take what they viewed as an inadequate deal with Iran, similar to the 2015 deal negotiated by President Barack Obama, and that he would then declare mission accomplished. So, they're saying right here that Israel was, one of their motivations was, we need to make sure that Trump doesn't take a deal we don't like. Mr. Netanyahu told Mr. Trump that the Iranians would be able to rebuild their air defenses that were destroyed during an Israeli attack in October, adding to the urgency. After his election in November, Mr. Trump had named a close friend, Steve Witkoff, as his Middle East envoy, and gave him the job of trying to reach a deal with Iran. Mr. Trump, elected on a platform that promised to avoid military entanglements abroad, seemed to relish the idea of coming to a diplomatic resolution. From the beginning of the administration, the Iranians were putting out feelers from a handful of countries to open a diplomatic path with the new administration. Then Mr. Trump made his own dramatic move. He sent a letter to Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. In early March, visitors to the Oval Office or guests on Air Force One were regaled by Mr. Trump about his beautiful letter to the Ayatollah. It was a big, beautiful letter. So beautiful, the best letter. Nobody can write a letter like our president can. Tyler says we should, quote, we should never get involved anywhere militarily for any reason. And, quote, Congress should never spend any money on anything for any reason while we are in debt. Same energy, libtardian brain. Yes, yes. The Panicans are libertarians, ultimately. The BBL, the big beautiful letter. Yeah, that's right. Oh, interesting. Fenris Unbound says Grok said that the wood the pager was attached to might have been olive wood, so the symbology of the gift might have been you take the olive branch or you get the pager. That sure seems to be the way that Trump took it. One visitor treated to a live rendition recalled the letter's basic message as, I don't want war, I don't want to blow you off the map, I want a deal. Mr. Trump knew he was wading into dangerous political territory. More than perhaps any other subject, the Israel-Iran issue splits Mr. Trump's coalition, pitting an anti-interventionist faction, led by media figures like the influential podcast host Tucker Carlson, against anti-Iran conservatives, like the radio host Mark Levin. But inside the administration, despite much hype about disagreements between Iran hawks and doves, ideological divisions were far less important than they were in Mr. Trump's first term, when officials like Defense Secretary Jim Mattis and Secretary of State Rex Tillerson viewed the president as reckless and in need of being restrained from his impulses. This time, nobody on Mr. Trump's senior team played anything like that role. The new team generally supported Mr. Trump's instincts and worked to carry them out. There were differences of opinion, to be sure, but few, if any, heated showdowns over Iran policy. Mr. Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth were always deferential to the president's views, even if Mr. Hegseth, who has a close relationship with Mr. Netanyahu, was more trusting of the Israelis than some of his colleagues. That's also an interesting thing. If Hegseth is being described in the New York Times as more sympathetic to the Israelis, which I do buy, then that further further highlights this idea that his job is to be the PR guy. But he's not going to be one of the close inside circle decision makers on this sort of thing. As all the other people with like a strong bias toward Israel, it seems, have been pushed out slowly from the inner circle. Mr. Vance warned repeatedly about the prospect of the United States getting entangled in a regime change war, but even those on the team who had historically supported a more muscular stance against Iran backed Mr. Witkoff's diplomacy. Mr. Trump's tough on Iran national security advisor at the time, Mike Waltz, nonetheless had a close working relationship with the more dovish Mr. Witkoff. On the intelligence side, Mr. Ratcliffe delivered information without weighing in on one side or the other. And while everyone knew that Ms. Gabbard was as anti-interventionist as they come, she rarely pushed that view on the president. In April, the Trump team began a series of negotiations in Oman, with the U.S. side of the talks led by Mr. Witkoff, along with Michael Anton. Interesting. Michael Anton, the director of policy planning at the State Department. By the end of May, the Trump team had delivered a written proposal to the Iranians. So Michael Anton and Michael Witkoff are the ones who are leading the negotiating team. By the end of May, the Trump team had delivered a written proposal to the Iranians. It called for Iran to ultimately stop all enrichment of uranium and propose the creation of a regional consortium to produce nuclear power that would potentially involve Iran, the United States, and other Gulf states like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. So, Iran, you stop enrichment of uranium in your own country. We're going to create a regional consortium where all of these countries that are involved are all going to be involved in the project, meaning there are now direct economic business reasons that would disincentivize military hostility in and amongst all of us. Keeping military options. Even as Mr. Trump pursued a diplomatic solution, he seemed persuaded by one thing the Israelis had said to him. Having credible military options would give him a stronger hand in negotiations with Iran. Options for taking out Iran's nuclear sites already existed inside the Pentagon, but after taking office in January, the president authorized U.S. Central Command to coordinate with the Israelis on further refining and developing them. In the middle of February, in coordination with the Israelis, General Michael Eric Kurilla, the head of Central Command, had developed three main options. The first and most minimal was U.S. refueling and intelligence support for an Israeli mission. The second was Israeli and American joint strikes. The third was a U.S.-led mission with Israel in a supporting role. It would have involved American B-1 and B-2 bombers, carrier aircraft, and cruise missiles launched from submarines. There was also a fourth option, quickly discarded, that included, in addition to large-scale U.S. strikes, an Israeli commando raid with air support from American Osprey helicopters or other aircraft options. So, the one that would have put the most American servicemen at risk was discarded immediately. And then there was the three remaining options that are all that have America involved in some capacity, from extremely limited to like sharing the role with Israel to leading the thing. But again, all of these are targeted at minimal as possible American involvement. And it seems pretty clear that this is the preferred option, the first and most minimal one. But as Mr. Witkoff pursued negotiations with Tehran, mediated by Oman, the Israelis grew impatient. Mr. Netanyahu made a quick visit to Mr. Trump at the White House in April. Among other requests, he asked for the American bunker buster bomb to destroy the underground nuclear site at Fordo. Mr. Trump, intent at the time on giving diplomacy a chance, was unpersuaded, and in the days after the meeting, his team made a full-court press to stop the Israelis from launching preemptive strikes against Iran. The message from Mr. Trump's team was blunt. You cannot just go and do this on your own. There are too many implications for us. These were tense conversations, but Mr. Trump's advisors thought the Israelis had absorbed their message. The president was concerned that Israel would strike out on its own or scuttle his diplomacy if Mr. Netanyahu did not like where his deal was heading. The Trump team also worried about what would happen if Israel launched strikes against Iran but failed to destroy all of its nuclear facilities. But planning in Israel went ahead, driven in part by concern that Iran was rapidly building up its store of ballistic missiles that could be used for retaliatory attacks. Soon, U.S. intelligence agencies had amassed enough information to present it to Mr. Trump. The briefings got the president's attention and became the backdrop to the tense phone call in late May, during which Mr. Trump vented his unhappiness at Mr. Netanyahu. Dropping this link in the chat now for you, Phil. Patience with diplomacy wears thin. By that point, Mr. Vance was telling associates that he was worried about a potential regime change war, which he considered a dangerous escalation that could spiral out of control. Mr. Vance had come to view a conflict between Israel and Iran as inevitable. The vice president was open to the possibility of supporting a targeted Israeli strike, but his concerns that it would grow into a more drawn-out war increased as the likely date of a strike approached, according to two people with knowledge of his thinking. He turned his attention toward trying to keep America out of the conflict as much as possible beyond intelligence sharing. He worked closely with Mr. Trump's inner circle, including Mr. Rubio, Mr. Hegseth, and Susie Wiles, the White House Chief of Staff, to figure out contingency plans to protect American personnel in the region. As May turned to June, Mr. Witkoff told colleagues that the United States and Iran were on the brink of a deal. But on Wednesday, June 4, Mr. Khamenei rejected the U.S. proposal. Mr. Trump was beginning to feel as if the Iranians were not serious about a deal, advisors said. That same day, Mr. Levin, the conservative radio host, met with Mr. Trump and several of his advisors in the dining room adjoining the Oval Office. He'd been an influential force in presenting an anti-Iran view to the president. The conversation with Mr. Levin appeared to have made an impression on the president, advisors said. After that meeting, Mr. Trump told aides he wanted to give the deal talks a bit more of a chance, but his patience was wearing thin. That Friday, his team scheduled a Sunday meeting in the privacy of Camp David. Publicly, Mr. Trump was still stressing the importance of giving diplomacy a chance. And while doing so was not intended to deceive the Iranians about the immediacy of a potential attack from Israel, the possibility that it might keep Iran from going on heightened alert was a welcome side effect, a U.S. official involved in the discussion said. But last Wednesday, there was no indication of any negotiated breakthrough, and by that point, Mr. Trump's inner circle knew the attack would start the next day. In some private conversations, Mr. Trump questioned the wisdom of the Israeli decision to attack. I don't know about Bibi, he told one associate, adding that he had warned him against the strikes. Mr. Trump joined his national security team in the White House Situation Room on Thursday evening as the first wave of strikes was unfolding and was still keeping his options open. Earlier that day, he was telling advisors and allies that he still wanted to get a deal with Iran. The first official statement from the administration after the strikes came not from Mr. Trump, but from Mr. Rubio, who distanced the United States from the Israeli campaign and made no mention of standing by an ally, even though the U.S. intelligence community was already providing support. But as the night wore on and the Israelis landed a spectacular series of precision strikes against Iranian military leaders and strategic sites, Mr. Trump began to change his mind about his public posture. When he woke on Friday morning, his favorite TV channel, Fox News, was broadcasting wall-to-wall imagery of what it was portraying as Israel's military genius, and Mr. Trump could not resist claiming some credit for himself. In phone calls with reporters, Mr. Trump began hinting that he had played a bigger behind-the-scenes role in the war than people realized. Privately, he told some confidants that he was now leaning toward a more serious escalation, going along with Israel's early request that the United States deliver powerful bunker-busting bombs to destroy Iran's nuclear facility at Fordo. As recently as Monday, Mr. Trump held out the possibility that Mr. Witkoff or even Mr. Vance could meet with Iranian officials to seek a negotiated deal. But as Mr. Trump abruptly left the Group of Seven summit in Canada to rush back to Washington, there was little indication that the conflict would be brought to a quick end through diplomacy. Okay, so what might be the grand strategy here? Got a couple different thoughts toward that end. First one is this thread here from Tanvi Ratna, who I've read some threads from before. She says, Trump promised no new wars, yet his actions on Iran-Israel baffle many. Court, then threaten Iran, ignore Israel in his Middle East trip, cut a deal with Pakistan over India, a Trump tower in Gaza. DC deep state, or also Trump's calculus on a trade corridor rivaling China. There's a map here. So this is corridor wars in global geopolitics. You have, this is agreement reached between a group of countries at G20 summit on a new corridor that will connect Indo-Pacific region to Middle East and Europe, has raised geopolitical competition that will be seen among different transportation corridors led by China and other powers. The North-South corridor, which is here from India up through Iran and then all the way up across, this would be through the Caspian and then up into Russia and then all the way up toward the Scandinavia. And then the Belt and Road Initiative here, the blue lines for China's Belt and Road Initiative. And then the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. It says a memorandum of understanding was signed between India, U.S., Saudi Arabia, UAE, France, Germany, Italy, and EU. If the project is realized, the course between India and Europe will be cut by 40%. Beneath the surface of Trump's moves appears to be an initiative most still don't know exists. IMEC, the India, Middle East, Europe Corridor, a trade corridor designed to bypass China and rival the Belt and Road Initiative, unveiled at the 2023 G20. It stalled on Gaza. IMEC's route is straightforward. India, through the Gulf, through Israel, to Europe. Its purpose, rail, road, and port transport, cross-border energy flows, potentially undersea cables and data. Its ambition, create a mammoth new growth corridor powered by U.S. allies. But the October 2023 halted everything. The Hamas attack and subsequent Israeli campaign disrupted the Saudi-Israel normalization, the Gulf U.S. investment plans, the Red Sea shipping lanes, and a corridor design across the Levant. No infrastructure project survives open conflict. In this context, Trump's moves become legible, not as a doctrine, but as a pattern. Prioritize access, de-escalate flashpoints, keep pathways investable, even if it means breaking with old allies. This includes Israel. In 2025, Trump skipped Israel on his Middle East tour, praised Qatar, which hosts Hamas leaders, criticized Netanyahu's war strategy, and proposed commercial investment in Gaza. The message: if Israel obstructs regional infrastructure, it gets sidelined. It also includes Syria. Trump lifted sanctions on Ahmad al-Shara'a, a Gulf-backed Islamist once affiliated with jihadist factions. Controversial but strategic. Shara'a controls key land corridors. It's backed by the UAE capital, willing to stabilize transit zones. Not about legitimacy, about logistics. In parallel, Qatar was elevated. Despite Hamas ties, it was given full diplomatic honors, consulted on Gaza reconstruction, and positioned as a Gulf capital anchor. Qatar pledged $700 billion in regional investment. And then Iran. In April, a nuclear back channel was reopened. In May, the Yemen ceasefire was negotiated. And in June, after the Israeli strikes, Trump called for Iran's unconditional surrender. Contradictory? Possibly. But the goal may be simple. Contain or collapse Iran to unblock corridor routes. If Iran falls, cleanly or not, it reshapes the region. Hezbollah, Houthis, and Hamas lose funding. Red Sea, Levant, and IMEC routes reopen. You bring a pro-U.S. regime and cut ties to China. A large energy-rich market opens and joins an already large corridor. Trump's engagement with Pakistan fits the same pattern. After the India-Pakistan conflict, the India deal got shelved, but Pakistan got itself a seat at the table. Because Pakistan borders Iran, ties into Gulf military cooperation, and supports the new Trump agenda with crypto. None of this suggests a grand unified strategy. There's limited evidence of U.S. agencies' coordination on IMEC. Gulf states, Qatar, UAE, and Saudi remain rivals as much as partners. But the Trump Tower in Gaza, it looked like a signal to gentrify and open up the region for business. President Trump's key negotiator, Steve Witkoff, suggested in an interview that the Gulf could become the next EU. The Gulf has already emerged as central to both U.S. and Chinese deals post-tariffs. I think what she means by next EU here is the idea is basically you take this whole region with all these differing interests and you create a centralized entity. You unite them all into a centralized entity. I'm pretty sure that it would just turn into a gigantic clusterfuck, but it already is a gigantic clusterfuck. So, hey, this is kind of an outside the box idea.
The Gulf Coast could be one of the most undervalued opportunities if we get peace and stability throughout the region. If we solve Iran and you can finance in that market, the Israelis are brilliant from a technological standpoint. They've got a huge technological base there.
Yes.
They're in AI, robotics, blockchain. That's where the UAE is today.
I know.
That's where Saudi Arabia is today. That's where Qatar is today. Can you imagine all these countries working collaboratively together and creating that type of market? It could be much bigger than Europe. Europe is dysfunctional today. Imagine if they became functional and everybody's a business guy there. One more thing, as a condition in that region, you have young leadership. You have young leadership in MBS. You have relatively young leadership in the UAE. You have relatively young leadership, new leadership in Qatar. People who don't have the old sensibilities, people who want to do business, who realizes, like Trump's way is people vote their pocketbook, right? So he wants to bring the bacon home to the United States. I think everybody's bought into that over in the GCC.
I agree. I mean, we're reverting to like human nature. People want stability and prosperity, for sure.
Correct.
The pattern is difficult to ignore. De-escalate Gaza, Syria, and Yemen, bypass uncooperative actors, elevate those who can fund or secure the new economic agenda, reposition the U.S. as the infrastructure enabler, not the occupier. That's a very important point right here. Reposition the U.S. as the infrastructure enabler, not the occupier. So if you want access to functional markets, if you want access to the dollar, be involved in the dollar system, if you want access, if you want American military protection, you're gonna pay for it. We'll offer it to you as a service. We will provide this umbrella. We'll provide you a security umbrella and allow you to participate in this economic order, but it's going to be on our terms. And we're going to provide the infrastructure for you. This is going to be like the service, our export is going to be like our business climate, our legal structure, our military protection, all these sorts of things. This ties in with the with Scott Bessent's description of the red, the yellow, and the green. China has its own counterplay. It says it's less doctrine than drift, but a drift with direction. China has its own counterplay. expanding ties with Egypt and Iran, investing in Iraq and Turkey, growing its development road via Central Asia. IMEC isn't a foregone win, it's one axis in a competitive map. To frame Trump's moves as purely chaotic misses a larger possibility. He may not be building a doctrine, but the pieces, energy corridors, capital flows, regional leverage, suggest an instinct. Secure throughput, ignore ideology, let capital do the rest. The next phase depends on three variables: Gaza stabilization, Iran containment, and intra-Gulf alignment. Each is fragile, each is contested, but all determine whether the corridor becomes real or another shelved vision. What was that down here? You provide far more coherence to Trump's actions than I suspect are actually there. She says, I don't think it's about coherence. I do think he improvises in foreign policy, but he's not moving with no guiding star whatsoever. That's a good point. Not baffling. Iran was offered a carrot. They refused, so they get the stick. Yeah, okay. Got some more here. So Dan Talks 1. This is an interesting guy. I've got some articles that he's written that I want to read, but they're long. I'll probably have to dedicate most of an episode to it. But he says, we're at war with Iran because the deal Trump made... Actually, let me see. Was this... No, there's not a quote tweet. We're at war with Iran because the deal Trump made with the Gulf states was they can't have nukes and can't threaten the Gulf states. The U.S. is getting $1.5 trillion for this deal. The overarching grand strategy is for the U.S. to hand off regional security issues to its regional allies, so the U.S. can focus all of its attention on China and the Pacific. So for Europe, it's NATO members like Poland, UK, Germany, Italy, and France. For the Middle East, it's the Abraham Accords of Israel, Saudi, UAE, Jordan, Morocco, and Kuwait. Iran has been and still is the primary enemy to the U.S. and allies in the region for decades. Trump offered them the best deal imaginable and is still trying to make them take it. They're refusing because they're interpreting this for weakness and because they have a delusional view of their own capabilities. We're going to war for this reason because Iran doesn't want a deal means they want war. We're allowing Israel to take the lead and do the work. This is a negotiation about violence and it's ongoing. This is how the world really is. Predators and dangerous people exist. Enemies exist. Nobody is wanting to occupy or have another forever war. The opposite is occurring. We're trying to leave the Middle East, and Iran wants a continuation of the war for their own reasons. Iran is getting absolutely demolished in this war. Even I was wrong in my assessments of how this would go. It's so one-sided at this point, it's incredible. This is looking like one of the most comprehensive military victories of the last 100 years. That's the truth of what's happening and why. Not for any religious, ideological, or any other stupid reason someone comes up with from the establishment. Trump isn't betraying anyone, and certainly not the country. He's literally the best president I've ever seen, limiting and using the U.S. military for its own interests and doing the best he can to limit both involvement and risk. And then another post here. So this was... Trump says, somebody please explain to kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. He says, will do, President Trump. One thing, in case you guys missed it, a lot of people saw that he was dumping on Tucker, but then he said that Tucker called him and apologized. And that's Tucker understands loyalty. He knows that, he feels this in his soul. He's genuinely, sincerely concerned. And he is tactically chimping in exactly the right way. Going at Ted Cruz, having Ted Cruz be the one that he utterly disembowels publicly on this is precisely the right thing to do. It would have been entirely inappropriate for him to have that same type of interview with the president. Doing it with Ted Cruz, on the other hand, was absolutely the right way to go about it. And if you're going to publicly, you can publicly really criticize him like this, and then you call and you apologize, but you make clear how you feel about this, and then all is well, water under the bridge. It's good to see men being able to engage on this level. Dan says, since the president asked me personally, I will explain why, in realist terms, Trump and the U.S. admin would never let Iran get a nuclear weapon. So in order to explain why, you need to understand the international system itself. The academic term is that the world is anarchic, meaning there is no higher authority governing the behavior. Meaning states are sovereign entities and can do whatever they want, literally. and that we are in a controlled space which we all have to live in. Now, obviously, if you're looking at the world from a Christian perspective, you know that there is a higher authority governing the behavior, but obviously he's talking about political entities here. I try and explain this using my metaphor that we're in a prison with no prison guards. A prison is a controlled environment with zero-sum power structures that you have to live with everyone within the prison. Security and prosperity are all a part of prison, and the human nature of tribalism emerges within prisons for self-defense and survival. Nuclear weapons are by far the most destructive weapons that exist today and have the capacity to destroy entire cities and nations. I don't necessarily believe this to be the case, but they definitely are very powerful, assuming they exist. In my analogy, they're the equivalent of guns in the prison. We want as few people with guns in the prison, even if they're our friends, because it lowers the capacity for their usage if fewer have them. That has been the policy since their usage in 1945. What we try our utmost is to try to avoid our enemies and crazy people having guns in the prison. The U.S. was never going to allow a regime like the current Iranian one a gun in the prison. It would be a red line for the security apparatus. And I'll also add that even were this not the U.S., even were Trump to be more or less indifferent on it or not care that much, if the prospective allies in the region, namely the other Gulf states, who are important allies, and if you're trying to secure this investment from them, you're trying to build this new economic order that absolutely is going to require their buy-in investment, and they say the neighborhood asshole over there, we're willing to participate in this investment, but we want you to take care of the neighborhood asshole. All right, well then, we'll take care of the neighborhood asshole for you. The reason is security comes first, and because the consequences of them getting it are so much bigger, the threshold for action is much lower. If they have intention, capacity, and demonstrate both, they'll be taken seriously and prevented. Israel has nothing to do with this logic. The U.S. and the Gulf states weren't going to allow Iran to get nukes, or it would have forced everyone else to get them too, causing a bigger problem than it solves. And I would say it's not necessarily true that Israel has nothing to do with the logic, but even were Israel to not exist, were there to not be the whole phenomenon of Israel, the state of play would still be the same. The deal the Gulf states made with Trump was no nukes in Iran, and Trump is following through. Hopefully this explains the logic to the average person why the security apparatus is operating. It has nothing to do with freedom or liberation or any other gay reason. It's purely about the security of the prison itself and not allowing predator groups to get guns in the prison. This guy says, I get the Trump promised the Gulf states no nukes in Iran, but otherwise, why didn't we go all in to prevent all these other states we don't have control of from getting nukes? Meaning China, Pakistan, North Korea, Israel, Iran. He says, because communist terrorists were in charge of the government at the time. Fair. Why does the president believe the intelligence agencies that lied us into Iraq? I remember he wasn't taking the PDB because he didn't trust them. Now he's ready to strike Iran. What changed? Well, number one, it's in Iraq. It was like, oh yeah, they totally do have weapons of mass destruction. They absolutely totally do. You know, we got to go find them. We got to get in there. We got to go find them, figure out where they are. But they totally do. This time, there's nobody that's arguing that Iran hasn't been enriching uranium far past the point where they would need it for medical reasons or for energy in the country or anything. They've been enriching uranium to the point where it's obvious the only purpose of this is for developing a nuclear weapon. That's the only reason that you would do it. Nobody's actually contesting that I've seen at all. So there immediately is yet another thing that's not the same. Basically, the only thing that's the same between Iran and Iraq is just like the very broadest, like 500,000 foot view overview part of it. But once you get into any of the details whatsoever, it's an entirely different situation. Not to mention that a major reason why Iraq turned into such a clusterfuck was because of Iran. Oh, I forgot I posted this. This guy says, allow me to explain, because Israel says so. The end. This is the sort of retard logic that I'm talking about. As Trump and Netanyahu's mutual contempt is well documented, the latter is on much shakier political ground in his home country than is the former. And it doesn't take exceptional neuroplasticity to recognize that Trump and the Gulf states and Israel could each have their own independent reasons for wanting Iran's nuclear weapon capacity removed, particularly given their relationship to both Russia and China, with whom Trump is also currently involved in various trade and foreign policy negotiations. Whether you agree with those reasons or disagree with how to go about disarming Iran is a separate issue. The fact that Israel is transparently organizing a desperate propaganda campaign, not even laundered through layers of plausible deniability, just straight up unnamed Israeli official says, or Israeli media outlet reports, to try to corner Trump into doing their dirty work should be a big signal to you that this isn't a simple case of Trump taking orders from Bibi. All right, and last thing we got here, Tom Luongo shares this from The Last Refuge, a dangerous moment, the targeting of Tulsi Gabbard. For the sake of urgency, I'm going to talk in direct and bold terms about the targeting of Tulsi Gabbard. The IC system is attempting to remove her as a disruptive influence by using Iran as a wedge to get her out. But the issue they have with Director Gabbard has nothing to do with Iran. CTH approaches this after being very concerned about Tulsi Gabbard's ability. Not because of intent, but rather we doubted her understanding of the scope of the IC opposition aligned against an effective office of the Director of National Intelligence. Gabbard started out with these weaknesses, but she learned quickly, grasped the opposition, and has become a transformative force within the intelligence community. Director Gabbard's recent efforts within the Intelligence Community Inspector General Office is another feather in her cap of competence. Gabbard is now a threat. If President Trump allows or supports the removal of DNI Gabbard, he is opening up the backplate of his armor and making himself vulnerable. The Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Chairman Tom Cotton, the disassembled National Intelligence Council, and a host of intelligence community embeds would like to see Gabbard removed. DC wants to see her removed because the traditional role of the DNI has been a willfully blind tool of the intelligence community. Gabbard is not that. As DNI, Mrs. Tulsi Gabbard has chased down intelligence community leakers, released the JFK files, released Joe Biden's domestic terrorism surveillance plan, intercepted an NIC plot to impeach President Trump, confirmed by Rubio, taken control of the presidential daily briefing, and more recently began to confront the weaponized corruption within the IC Inspector General organization. There's links for each of these if you guys want to go read through them. Just go to the Kingpilled Substack. I'll post all the links over there. And it's also on it'll be in the show notes on the podcast. Suffice to say, her effectiveness has placed a target on her back. In the past few weeks, ever since she began intercepting the ICIG issues and using her own personnel to monitor the IC network, she's been targeted with several direct smear campaigns. It's obvious the targeting is coming from inside the intelligence apparatus, and perhaps even the orbit around her under CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Tulsi Gabbard did make a strange video about nuclear weapons contrast against the horrific outcomes in Japan, but that seemed to be more of a personal video entry expressing a deep concern about nuclear weapons from her own perspectives. I said it was weird when I saw it, but I put that expression in the context of Surfboard Tulsi, the DNI peacenik, no biggie. However, with the Israel versus Iran conflict encompassing the White House, there's a transparent objective to weaponize Tulsi Gabbard's activity as a contrast against President Trump supporting military conflict in Iran. This contrast is being stimulated by the same elements who want to see her removed for the reasons noted above. The latest narrative du jour in the files includes Trump has increasingly mused about nixing Gabbard's office completely, an idea he floated when he gave her the job. In the White House, there have been discussions about folding its mandate into the CIA or another agency, according to one of the people familiar with his response to the video and two others familiar with the matter, though it's unclear what that would mean for Gabbard. The Director of National Intelligence serves as the President's principal intelligence advisor and oversees the sprawling U.S. spy community, end quote. First, nixing Gabbard's office completely is exactly what the bad elements of the intelligence community would love to see. Second, folding its mandate into the CIA is like a dream come true for the darkest elements of the IC and Senate enablers. And third, serves as the President's principal intelligence advisor is false. That's the job of National Security Advisor Marco Rubio. If there is one hope amid this looming and increasing drumbeat to remove her, it is that Marco Rubio likely can see exactly what the motives and intentions are from his former colleagues. The elements targeting DNI Gabbard all come from SSCI Chairman Marco Rubio's old tribe. Secretary of State and NSA Rubio might save her, as too may Vice President J.D. Vance. Both of them are at the perfect distance to see the assembled drumbeat against Gabbard for what it is, a coordinated intelligence community operation. At least that is my hope. I'm not confident they will succeed in removing her. However, what I am confident about is that if DNI Tulsi Gabbard is removed, she will not be replaced. And that's as good as a win for the bad actors trying to target and survive Trump. President Trump has no more juice or influence in the Senate. That time is over. Trump has exhausted all of the political capital he held in the upper chamber. Every Republican senator now smiles, nods, and does whatever the heck they want, regardless of how it impacts President Trump. This is especially true for the SSCI, who would control confirmation of a DNI replacement. The Republicans do not have to pretend any longer. Trump's juice is gone. If President Trump allows the Brutus crew in his orbit to isolate, ridicule, and marginalize Tulsi Gabbard, he'll be putting a significant part of his administration at risk. This is the 6 Ways from Sunday crowd. Now, my understanding and all that I've known, obviously I don't have any personal connections or anything, I just do a lot of reading, is that John Ratcliffe is extraordinarily loyal to Trump and has, at the end of Trump's first term, Ratcliffe was doing yeoman's work in defending and protecting him and trying to purge, to whatever extent he could, trying to purge corrupt intelligence community assets from being able to influence him. That's my understanding. It could be not true. I don't know. But I do think that my instinct on this is that the whole, obviously there is a concerted effort to go after Tulsi. My instinct is that she's not going anywhere. I think she's been loyal to Trump. She's been part of his inner circle for a long time. And just because he may or may not have been unhappy with something she did is not necessarily cause for her to go. I think the way that it looks to me is that the narrative that he is unhappy with her is part of the psyop to try to get her out. That's my read of it. We'll see what happens. Mr. Seuss says, so they had a plan for Middle East cooperation of all the countries to create an energy-efficient HQ/trade federation type scenario that would incentivize Iran to not pursue weapon-grade nuclear capabilities. Then October 7th happened and prevented that deal from happening. I think that's at least directionally accurate, yeah. And even if it wasn't that they had this plan and then October 7th prevented it, it is the case now that is the Trump administration's goal. That's what Trump wants to create, like some sort of trade federation amongst all the Gulf states there, to incentivize them to cooperate, to create the framework for the United States to not have to be there babysitting. Notice that Russia is pretty clearly pulling out themselves. They pulled out of Syria, and they've already said they have like this agreement, like a limited support agreement with Iran, but they came out and they clarified, no, it doesn't involve any sort of defense support. We're not intervening in this at all. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. I'm pretty sure what's happening is that Iran is getting traded for Ukraine. And kind of a little oversimplified, but essentially Russia is willing to accept regime change in Iran in return for getting concessions in Ukraine. And I do believe that regime change is definitely going to happen. I don't think that there's any way it's not going to happen. And I also don't think, like, anybody who says that like boots on the ground, not happening, 100%, no possibility whatsoever that there's going to be boots on the ground, big invasion force, nothing like that. Nothing like that is happening whatsoever. The regime change operation, I note that the grandson of the Shah is popping up now and seems to be angling for that. And at the end of that Luongo space the other night, there was a guy who called in who was Iranian, and he said that he'd been hearing people saying, "Oh, there would be no respect or credibility for the grandson of the Shah there in the country." And he's like, "That's not the case at all." He said the people would totally embrace him and would love to have him come back. That's one Iranian's perspective. I have no idea if it's true or not. I'm not that intimately familiar with intra-Iranian politics, but I do think that there is going to be a regime change. How that is executed, who runs point on that, I don't think any of that is decided or determined yet. But it seems pretty clear from everything we've seen thus far that Trump wants the U.S. to be involved on as limited of a basis as possible, and the goal is to negotiate a peace deal and use trade as the means for it. And if all of Iran's neighbors are all like, we're not getting involved, then like there's not going to be this isn't Iraq regime change. This isn't even Libya regime change. There's nobody there to support them. There's nobody who's going to step in and prevent it from happening. And by all appearances now, Iran has already indicated, it's been revealed that they're a paper tiger. They don't have the sand in their pants to prosecute this forever. Now, it's possible that they're just like, oh, they've been super clever about all this, and they're storing up some big super secret surprise, and they're going to unleash it, and maybe. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm starting to notice a pattern, though. There's a lot of... Are you seeing this? There's a lot of these various different institutions. Whether you're talking about there's Syria, there's Iran now, there's there's the Democrats, there's the various different riots and stuff that have been springing up, and like every time you think, oh, there's this big powerful force over here, big scary bad guy. And then something happens, they kind of get poked, and you realize, hold on a second, there's not nearly as much there as we thought there was. What if lots of our enemies, what if lots of the malevolent forces out there are actually much less imposing than they appear? We do live in an age of psyops and propaganda. And there's major competency crisis issues all over the place. And one of the good points that Halsey guy made in that Luongo space was that the so-called Gulf states, the Middle Eastern states, the thing he left out was that this analysis applies to Israel as well, but these are not old nations. They're like less than a century old. They're not like fully developed, functional Westphalian states. A few decades ago, they were a bunch of roving, tribal, desert people. What do you say? He's like, all they knew is that the black stuff in the ground is really, really appealing and valuable to the white people, apparently. So we're just going to get really rich selling the black stuff out of the ground to the white people. So you can't expect them to function and operate like a civilized state. And this is the thing he doesn't want to acknowledge is that this applies to Israel as well, as Jason Miranchuk told me when we were on the phone last night. So I think the idea that Iran has just been kind of eating, like just taking it in the teeth for a week, but they're saving up their big surprises and they're really super Machiavellian and they're getting ready to unleash, and they're going to have this big, long, protracted thing, and they're going to defend themselves, and really finding that hard to believe. There's also the report that Trump called Putin called Khomeini and said, yeah, you need to wrap this shit up. I wouldn't be surprised if Khomeini gets the Assad treatment. He gets flown to Moscow. Mr. Sue says, so the war simulations of us losing World War III implies we actually take those efforts, which we haven't, right? Basically, I think that's why some of our former libertarians friends feared. Yeah, I think the war simulations all involved like an invasion of Iran. That's my understanding. Whenever I heard that, what I was understanding is this is what it would look like if we tried to invade Iran. If it's drop a bunker buster on we're going to drop Randy Fine on the nuclear sites. If it's drop a bunker buster on the nuclear site and be done with it, well, I mean, Trump has done this before. He bombed Soleimani. He dropped the Moab in Afghanistan. He bombed the Houthis. I don't think that's inconceivable that would happen. But I'm kind of with Tom and Dexter that I think that that Khamenei is gonna get whacked, and then we'll see what happens after that. Yeah, Randy Fine and Chris Christie. Aspiring Midwit said, war simulations demand conventional warfare. That's not how modern serious wars are fought anymore. Right. Trust Plan SAR says, very, very good name, says there's no more triggers for World War III if Ukraine and Iran surrender. That would be the cautiously optimistic perspective here, I think. Hold on, let me look something up here real quick. Okay. Well, what time is it? 7? So, reminder that we are doing a Network Armageddon Electric Boogaloo tonight. Mr. Jason Miranchuk and I will be back on here in a couple of hours. We'll be talking about transhumanism. So go get yourself a bite to eat. Go, I don't know. Go for a walk the dog, say goodnight to the kids, whatever it is you have to do, and come back here. Meet here at 9-ish p.m. Central Time. We'll see exactly what time he and I can get connected, and I've still got to go pick up my little sister, so depends on exactly what time she gets off. But thank you to Jordan Gibb for subscribing. Yet another Patriot. Please do subscribe to the Kick channel, $5 a month. And of that $5, here's what's better about Kick subscriptions versus YouTube channel memberships. Number one, YouTube takes anywhere from 30 to 50% and skims that off the top themselves. Whereas Kick only takes 5%. Also, YouTube pays out once a month, and they pay out on the 21st of the month for the prior month. So any YouTube revenue that comes in the month of June will pay out to me on or around July 21st, whereas Kick pays out weekly for any revenue that comes in through Kick. So please do subscribe. We've got a, let's see, where are my achievements? On the path to verification, I need to reach an average of 50 viewers over the last 30 days. Currently, I'm at 31.07. So the more of you who can come over and watch for a sustained period of time on the channel, the closer I scooch up toward that 50 average viewers over the past 30 days mark. So we're at 31.07 right now. And I think yesterday we were at like 26. So the more of you guys who can come over from YouTube or from X and come watch over here, the better. And then that's the last qualification I have to reach the path of verification. Then I'll have a verified channel. And the last threshold here is the path to partner, which is when I get access to their passive income model. And so for that, I need 3 more subscribers on the channel. Gifted subscriptions. I get the money for gifted subscriptions, but they don't qualify for these numbers. So I need 3 more subscribers on the channel. I need to reach an average of 75 viewers in the last 30 days. So we've still got a ways to go on that. We're at 31.07. Got to get to 75. So I need all of you guys from YouTube, all you guys from X. I need you to come over and at least for a period of time until I reach this threshold, I need you guys to just watch on Kick. I've already reached the stream for a total of 30 hours in the last 30 days. I've got 204 followers on the channel right now. I need 250, so I need another 46 of you guys just to follow the channel. Not subscribe, just follow. And the last thing is 250 unique chatters. We're at 152. So I need another 100 of you guys to come over and just chat. So just come follow and chat. That's all I need. That... Aspiring Midwood has subscribed, so we're down to 2. Just need 2 more subscribers. So I just need viewers. I need as many of you guys as possible to come view, come chat, and follow the channel. Once we do that, get to where I don't have to grift quite as hard, but I'm going to keep coming here and doing this for you guys, and I depend upon you to pay my bills for me. So I'll keep reminding you. And as always, the Streamlabs link is up there. Go ahead and hit that. And tonight on Network Armageddon Electric Boogaloo, what we're going to do is any of the tips that come in during that show, Jason and I have agreed that we'll just use my Streamlabs link, but Jason and I are going to split those tips 50-50 because the man needs money himself. So we're going to keep doing, we talked about the best way to try to do this. We figured the best, just any of the tips that come in during tonight's show, those are going to be for Jason and I to share. So thank you to all of you guys for supporting, for watching, for commenting, for chatting. Thank you for going and supporting on the other streams I did the last couple of days. Make sure when the Benjamin Boyce one drops, I don't know exactly when he's going to drop it, but when it does, make sure you guys watch that. Follow me on Twitter at @RealKingpilled, and I'll shout it out when it does. And go join the Kingpilled Discord. The chat is absolutely jamming in there. Can never keep up with it anymore. I'm always going and trying to read all the stuff you guys are saying, and it's great. So kingpilled.com is the place to sign up to watch or to join the Kingpilled Discord. And as always, if you are listening on the podcast version of this after the fact, then please do leave a 5-star rating and review. Let the people know how great the LABE is. Share the show. Get more people watching it. And yeah, that's all I got for now, guys. So I will see you guys back here in a couple of hours for Network Armageddon Electric Boogaloo as we talk about transhumanism. That's right, Trust Plan SAR. Until then, I leave you with Hulk.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States,